Hollywood, starting from animation. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 526, Drug Blood Blockbuster of the Year. The next day the film Pearl Harbor, jointly produced and distributed by Disney and DreamWorks, will be released on the 25th at the same time as Wald Pictures' new film District 9. On the first day of the show, the film Pearl Harbor has won a total of 4,190 theaters in the United States. The scale of the screening and the number of screens are the most since the beginning of 2001. Looking at the historical records since the 1990s, the scale of the 4,190 cinemas can also be ranked in the top 15. The strength of Disney is evident. On the other hand, Wald Pictures, a newly emerging movie giant, is far behind Disney. On the first day of the movie The Ninth District, only 1,430 theaters were screened. The screening scale and number of films are almost only one-third of the film Pearl Harbor. The gap between the two is extremely obvious. When the contest between the two films had just begun, Pearl Harbor achieved a first-hand victory. A studio somewhere in Los Angeles, a man and a woman, a young couple, walked into the cinema and talked about choosing which movie to watch. Young Bat, Gwen. Of course I want to watch District 9, you know, my favorite movies, Spider-Man, Harry Potter, Spartan 300 Warriors are all. It's a movie produced by Wald Pictures. No, I don't want to watch District 9, girl. Gwen retorted, I'm tired of watching alien-themed movies a long time ago. Whether it's A or Independence Day, it's actually the same thing, but you look at Pearl Harbor again, that's different. The male starring is the handsome guy Ben Affleck, since Keanu Reeves, who was selected as the most popular actor by women for several consecutive years in the early 1990s. Ben Affleck also won the most popular actor by women from 1999 to 2001. The reputation among the young American girls group, Ben Affleck is definitely the best candidate for the limelight. Even Xiaoli, who is known as Beauty in the Flourishing Age, has been suppressed by Ben Affleck this year. Little Fresh Meat, Popular Fried Chicken, Top Traffic. This is all about Ben Affleck, so he has been a little arrogant in recent years, and there is definitely a reason. No way, he has been too popular in recent years. Once the film Pearl Harbor is a big success, he will completely stabilize his position, with extraordinary significance. Otherwise, he will not drop his pay to star in the film's male number one. Gwen, listen to me, watch the movie The Ninth District, the young bat insisted. Girl Gwen immediately shook her head again. No, the attitude is quite determined. No way, the boy had to give in. However, the girl Gwen said again, seeing you are so obedient, then after we watch Pearl Harbor, I will accompany you to watch The Ninth District as a reward for your obedientness. Okay, really? In an instant, Bat was pleasantly surprised. After a short while, the two of them finished buying tickets. Bat, have you seen it? Most people chose to buy tickets for the Pearl Harbor movie, which shows that it is more popular with everyone. Girl Gwen said suddenly. The boy nodded. As far as the two films have just opened, the film Pearl Harbor is more popular in the market than District 9. It's not just a matter of the number of theaters and the number of films. Moreover, whether the film Pearl Harbor is from the director or the actors, its box office appeal is beyond the reach of District 9. Michael Bay, Ben Affleck, Kate Beckinsale, which one is not famous? At the same time, the actor and actress in the film are handsome men and women. Looking back at the film The Ninth District, how can a bunch of aliens dress up? On the day of its premiere, Pearl Harbor was even more popular. Who should Chinese know? It should have won a few chips for every 10 movie viewers. Almost half of them chose to watch Pearl Harbor. The other half were divided by District 9 and a dozen other movies. The gap is clear at a glance. Pearl Harbor movie opens in the theater where the girl Gwen and the boy Bat are, almost full of movie audiences. There are hundreds of people. Everyone is looking forward to the beginning of the movie. However, explosion, 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 still an explosion. It's always Michael Bay's old style, bomb bomb. However, there is one biggest difference, that is, too many cliches and love stories have been added to the Pearl Harbor movie. The Little Devil's planes have begun bombing Pearl Harbor, and there have been a lot of casualties. On the other hand, the male and female protagonists in the play have to kiss on the deck first, and then the fuck. I have to say that this scene left many movie viewers extremely speechless. Is this surely the most brutal and World War II in my mind? The boy Bat was stunned. Fight, are you sure it's not lovemaking? Many people complain about it. Even the many old and beautiful rough guys who lack culture feel that the donkey's lips are not right. and they feel that this is not a Pearl Harbor reflecting the tragic World War II, but a love movie. "I regret," the girl Gwen said in a low voice to her boyfriend, "this is definitely not the movie I want to see. The role played by Ben Affleck is simply a failure. It completely disappoints my expectations and wastes my time feeling." The boy nodded immediately. "That's too right." The director of the film Pearl Harbor, Michael Bay, threatened his film will surpass Titanic and top the new box office record in film history. However, now it seems that it is a beeping dog, properly bad movie. The love story of Jack and Ruth in the film Titanic made every audience fascinated and shed tears, expressing their great yearning for their epic love. But what is Pearl Harbor all about? The large number of love stories added to its story simply made the audience feel uncomfortable and nauseous. Painting a tiger is not an anti-dog. His Michael Bay is really just a film director who shoots explosions, explosions, and explosions. This kind of flavor with a theme of love, he is totally unacceptable. The boy and bat-flogged girl Gwen kept nodding at this moment. There are more than 100 viewers in the entire theater who watched the film. Except for the little couple Gwen and Bat, almost half of them spit out and shake their heads constantly. The movie Pearl Harbor is really shitting. They feel that this movie is not worth the money for a movie ticket. At the same time, Howard Andy, a well-known Hollywood film critic, has been sighing since the beginning of watching the Pearl Harbor movie. Director Michael Bay is definitely going to die, beyond Titanic? It seems www.wooksiaspit.com is just a dream. It's not bad that this movie can make Disney return to its original form. Ben Affleck and Kate Beckinsale, both of whom appeared in Pearl Harbor since the drop in pay, were hoping to take their acting career a step further. But now it seems that it's good not to fall to the bottom. That's it. Time passed quickly. The Pearl Harbor movie finally finished. Many viewers expressed their disappointment during the viewing. The girl Gwen said, "Bat, hurry up and buy a ticket for District 9. I am very eager to wash my eyes. The movie Pearl Harbor is too bloody." The second update is sent. Thank you book friend Emperor Caesar for your reward. In order to facilitate the next reading, you can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this, Chapter 531 Dog Blood Blockbuster of the Year, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wetchet, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 527, Startled a Place of Eyeballs. Is the movie Pearl Harbor really useless? Although it's a dog's blood, it's definitely not useless, and there are still many things to do. For example, the blast scene of the movie. In order to create the most spectacular and thrilling airstrike scene, director Michael Bay and special effects coordinator John Fraser used 700 stick explosives, 2,000 feet of detonating cord and 4,000 gallons of gasoline to detonate 6 warships. For safety reasons, Fraser prepared thousands of fire hoses and fire extinguishers at the shooting site to prevent the fire from getting out of control. All crew members involved in the shooting must wear gas masks. Director Michael Bay carefully installed 12 widescreen cameras. One of them was shot by him himself. This courage alone is enough to impress many directors. Although he is very arrogant, he has to be said to be brave enough. This blasting scene, constructed by 30 stuntmen, nearly 100 extras, 9 planes, a camera boat, and countless special effects technicians, was completed in one go in 7 seconds. At the same time, all the plans that were carried out were without incident. The most important thing is that for this scene, the entire crew has been preparing for 7 months. The craftsman spirit of meticulous polishing is worthy of the recognition of all film workers. To put it bluntly, for this 7-second blast scene, there are absolutely very few directors in the entire Hollywood field who can complete the filming, and director Michael Bay is undoubtedly the king of kings. Michael Bay's explosive shell is not a name. The blasting special effects of the film Pearl Harbor are undoubtedly the perfect embodiment of Hollywood's industrial standards. However, even so, it can't hide that this lot of the film is full. After the first screening of the film, many film critics wrote articles in the media. The New York Post published an article. After 40 minutes of exciting explosion scenes, it is a few hours of predictable and banal romantic drama. The Wall Street Journal published an article. Pearl Harbor has no depth like a comic. The loose story turns the Second World War into a stupid symphony. Washington Post published an article. Audiences who enter the venue, please choose a seat next to the aisle and definitely go to the toilet at least twice. Maybe this film should be called Boggy, Boggy, Boggy. Chicago Sun-Times published an article saying, the movie Pearl Harbor is a boring and old love, and there is no depth in the handling of war scenes. More than half an hour of plane bombing of ships, explosions, corpses flying in the air, and people evading the attack, was meaningless. It was just a terrible slaughter. not so much as to move or entertain the audience. The film Pearl Harbor, which has just been released, is facing a rhythm full of negative news as the producer and distributor of the Disney Group, at the moment, a bit dazed. Innocence is unreliable. You must start as soon as possible. War is a bird, it is better to engage in a triangle. From the website of Rotten Tomatoes, this is the current news that the movie Pearl Harbor has been pinned to the top on the Rotten Tomatoes website, and the number of users who liked it was as high as 13,000.13000 times. You know, how long hasn't been since the release of the movie Pearl Harbor? This is a beeping blog. Robert Iger, CEO of Disney Pictures, a subsidiary of the Disney Group, had a bad feeling after reading this comment. David, you come to my office immediately. Robert Iger called an internal company phone for the first time not long. The distribution department of Disney Pictures, well, that is David Anderson, director of Bowie Pictures, Disney's distribution company, arrived here. Thousands of novels. David, have you seen the negative news about the movie Pearl Harbor on the Rotten Tomatoes website? Iger said gravely. Upon hearing this, David nodded heavily and said, Mr. Iger, I have seen it. Not only on the Rotten Tomatoes website, but also on the Popcorn website, but also on the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the Chicago Sun-Times. The entertainment pages of major newspapers such as Pearl Harbor have reported negative news about our film Pearl Harbor. Other entertainment tabloids are even more eloquent, and the situation is quite unfavorable for us. Robert Iger's face changed. Obviously, the overall situation is much worse than he expected. David, isn't the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, the parent company of Wald Pictures, behind the scenes? Robert Iger said suddenly. David froze for a few seconds, then shook his head and smiled bitterly. There is currently no evidence to prove this. Suddenly, Robert Iger's face became even more ugly. If the negative news of the entire incident was produced by the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, then he would not be too worried. After all, the fake is fake after all. With the power of Disney's media, can the form be easily reversed? But, once the negative news of Pearl Harbor bursts, it does not come from the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, it's really from the spontaneous behavior of the vast movie audience. Then, the situation is extremely serious. Robert Iger got up from his seat and said with a grim face, David, first contact Rotten Tomatoes website and revoke the negative comments on the top of the list. Then, no matter what method you use, you can find a network water army or find relevant information. It's good for film critics to reverse the word of mouth. In short, within 3 days, no, within a week, I don't want to see too much negative news about Pearl Harbor. You understand? Yes, Mr. Iger. David nodded heavily. Cold sweat shed unknowingly. The movie Pearl Harbor is undoubtedly a key project of Disney Group this year. The production cost is up to $140 million, and the announced budget is up to $100 million. There are other costs of manpower, material resources, transportation, film copying, etc. Undoubtedly, the total investment amount of the Pearl Harbor project is as high as $250 million. It cannot tolerate failure. According to the proportion of North American theaters and overseas theaters, the global total box office of the movie Pearl Harbor must exceed $500 million before Disney can barely recover the cost. This is still based on the film's distributor, and Disney itself. Otherwise, without a total box office of $650 million, it is absolutely difficult to recover the cost. For a time, Disney Pictures CEO Robert Iger was full of thoughts and heavy hearts. Ding ding ding. At this moment, the phone on the desk rang. Caller, Michael Eisner. He is the current chairman of Disney and he is known as the Disney Tyrant. Iger, you can check it out for me. The negative news of Pearl Harbor has appeared on a large scale. Is it the ghost of Zhu Ke Wald? This is the first sentence that Michael Eisner said after the call was connected. www.wuxiaspit.com. He does not believe that Pearl Harbor will fail, nor can he accept its failure. You know, he is now facing the target of Roy Disney, a member of the Disney family, on the board of directors, and his chairmanship is a bit unstable. Once the film fails, his opponents on the board will further hide him. He can't accept it. Is it the ghost of Zhu Ke Wald? Michael Eisner asked again. Zhu lay innocently with a gun. This shows that Zhu Ke's popularity and character is often criticized by his colleagues. The first update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 532 is shocked, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 528, District 9 takes off. Even though the film Pearl Harbor is full of slots, Disney, as the distributor behind the film, is not a vegetarian. The power of the media group shot, almost in a short period of less than 10 minutes, a lot of negative news was quickly suppressed. Innocence is unreliable. You must start as soon as possible. War is a bird, it is better to engage in a triangle. From the website of Rotten Tomatoes, this is a news that the movie Pearl Harbor was pinned to the top on the Rotten Tomatoes website, and the number of likes reached as high as 13,000, but, now, it has been revoked, completely disappeared from the Rotten Tomatoes website. At the same time, a large wave of internet naval forces were dispatched and given a 5-star rating, which instantly suppressed all the negative news. In a word, blow it up. Hollywood Film Report, 21st Century New Movie Weekly, 100 Years of Disney and other well-known media newspapers. They are not Disney's newspapers, or partners, under Disney's instruction. A piece of film praised the movie. The article was published quickly. This is the power of the media group. Tisk tusk. Robert Iger moves fast enough. After hearing the news, Zhu Ye, the owner of New Line Pictures, couldn't help but smile. Looking at the media power in the United States, Disney is able to rank in the top 5, second only to Viacom, News Corporation, Comcast, and Time Media. In less than 10 minutes, a lot of negative news will be erased. Amazing. The voice fell. Jonathan, vice president of New Line, nodded in agreement. If Disney didn't have this kind of strength, we would not have accepted it as a stake in New Line Pictures. It's great to enjoy the cool under the big tree. Shea agrees with this point very much. In Hollywood in the early 21st century, if a film company does not have a strong media group behind it, it can only be reduced to an ordinary production company and will never be the top of the industry. DreamWorks Group is powerful enough. It claims to be the top existence under the Six. Hollywood, however, its power in the media field cannot be compared to the Big Six at all. Zook's Golden Dawn Entertainment is currently one of the few media groups that can fight the parent company behind the 6 major Hollywood companies. Speaking of Jinshuguang Entertainment Group, Ziya couldn't help but envy Zook, a young latecomer. Why did he achieve what he wanted to do but has been unable to do? This is why Shay always looks at Zhu Ke Wald at WB Television Network, the 5th largest public television network in the United States. Upton Television Network, the 3rd largest pay-limited television network in the United States. At the same time, in all aspects of radio, music, film, animation production, distribution, publishing, peripheral product operations, etc., Jinshuguang Entertainment Group is also unrivaled. In terms of overall volume, there is still a certain gap between Jinshuguang and Viacom Group, News Corporation, Disney Group, Sony Group, but, in individual fields, Zuk's Jinshuguang is absolutely not. They are even worse than they are, even better. Jonathan, you said that once Zhu Ke Wald's new work District 9 bursts into flames, will Michael Eisner and Robert Iger suddenly explode? Shay asked suddenly. No. Vice President Jonathan asked in surprise after hearing this. Ziya said to herself, it's hard to say. The film produced by Wald Pictures has always been well received. In the original time and space, the lackluster movie Pearl Harbor, although many movie audiences expressed great disappointment after watching it, the lack of competitors in the schedule made the film still achieve good box office results in the first 3 days of the weekend. The North American box office reached more than $59 million. The total box office in North America was $198 million, ranking 7th in the North American annual box office rankings in 2001. The global gross box office is as high as $449 million, although compared to the film's $250 million in cost and expenditure, the producer has suffered a huge loss, the kind that pays the old man. But the box office is not low. But, now, in the current schedule of Pearl Harbor, there is District 9. How much box office Pearl Harbor can finally win is definitely an uncertain future. One thing is certain, it will lose even worse, a theater, a cinema in Los Angeles. Worry-free Chinese network. At this moment, the film being played is surprisingly the new work District 9 by Wald Pictures. The film is about a huge spaceship suddenly descending on the Earth at some point in the future. To everyone's surprise, the spacecraft did not stop in big cities like Manhattan, Washington, or Chicago, but stopped directly over Johannesburg. Then, the spacecraft did not move. The whole world is watching and expecting. Music is shining with bright light, and it falls from the sky. Hey, there are quite a lot of people who watched the movie District 9, said Ziyi, the boss of New Line Pictures. He took his company's vice president, Jonathan, to the nearest cinema to watch the movie. Jonathan said, As far as this theater is concerned, the attendance rate is not less than 60%, which is pretty good. Although the film The Ninth District is not a high-investment commercial blockbuster, it benefits from Wald Pictures. It's not that surprising that the consistently high reputation can attract such a large number of viewers on the day the new work was released. Shane nodded. It is precisely because of the excellent reputation of Wald Pictures that Wald Pictures has rapidly grown into the sixth largest existences after Hollywood in just a few years. The movie continues the opening scene of The Ninth District, adopts a pseudo-documentary style shooting technique and introduces a large number of interview shots of people. On the whole, it looks like experts and citizens are being interviewed on TV. Aliens have descended on the Earth. In the film footage, an expert said, "This creature is very malnourished and looks very unhealthy, and they are in a trance." Since the whole world is watching Johannesburg and watching the incident of aliens visiting the Earth, so the government, a rescue team was quickly set up to transport all these aliens under the spacecraft and set up a huge temporary camp. Millions of aliens, another expert faced the camera and said, "The so-called temporary camps and temporary shelters are in fact a slum-like isolation zone. The living environment and living conditions are extremely poor. And they have begun to implement militarized management, the arrival of millions of aliens, no, to be precise, the arrival of millions of interstellar refugees, caused great panic throughout the United States. One by one contradictions and conflicts were born, and there is a growing trend. Signs indicating that aliens are not allowed to enter are placed on the entrances of restaurants and banks, on the street, and even on the walls and glass of any open store. Well, or a warning sign. Discrimination is everywhere. The content of the next movie is about the local citizens of Johannesburg who made a statement called "Crimination." In order to maintain the quarantine area, a lot of money is spent every year, and this money could have been spent elsewhere, but at least it is a blessing in misfortune to separate these nasty aliens from us. Virus. Carefully select a virus, release it near the aliens, and destroy them all. They must leave, wherever they go. Go away as soon as possible. If they come from other places, we can understand, but they are not even on Earth. Aliens, those prawns, they took my wife's life. This derogatory term prawn is used to refer to those aliens. Obviously, he alludes to those lower animals that feed on carrion meat. You can't say that they don't look like that animal. They look like that, don't they? They do look like prawns. The collision of Earth civilization and alien civilization has made aliens in a disadvantaged position. More and more pressure to survive now. 20 years have passed at the beginning. Of the millions of aliens who descended on the Earth, there are only 1.8 million people left, and they are all locked together. This place is the Ninth District. Now, 20 years later, public pressure has forced the government to move these aliens out of Johannesburg. www.uxiaspit.com. They have had enough. They hope that the Ninth District will be removed as soon as possible and be subject to more police and stronger control. Therefore, in order to implement this large-scale expulsion operation, the government resorted to the power of MNU, the world's second-largest arms company in the film, to transfer 1.8 million prawns from their existing home in the Ninth District to a location 200 kilometers away from Johannesburg. Well, a well-known better and safer place. What? Zhu, the owner of New Line Pictures, said in surprise. Alien movies, it's not about aliens attacking the Earth, but about becoming interstellar refugees who are treated differently and banned? Good idea. The second update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 533, The Ninth District starts, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wetchet, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 529, Explosive Shell Panic. The male protagonist Vikas van der Meer in the film The Ninth District officially debuted. He is an employee of MNU Company, the world's second-largest arms company in the film, and Mara, the daughter of the owner of MNU Company. Today, he will be the person in charge of the transfer of 1.8 million aliens in the Ninth District. The first day of the implementation of the relocation plan, a large number of air support helicopters, snipers, and ground troops with a large number of personnel, wearing sufficient weapons and ammunition, armed forces officially entered the Ninth District. Relocation, demolition, this kind of thing must be accompanied by the word violence. The male protagonist Vikas van der Meer looks weak, like a kind person, but in fact, he is definitely not a kind person. Oh, see what we found. There are 40-50 eggs here. They look relatively large, haha. In fact, they are all unborn little alien babies. A cow is suspended from the ceiling, and dozens of tubes are added to feed the little aliens. If you pull these tubes out, they will soon die. Like this. The actor Vikas van der Meer unplugged several infusion tubes while telling the armed men who followed him, the smiling male protagonist, humorous. However, he had already killed several unborn alien babies. Just now he would feel guilty. Do not. These prawns are not humans at all. They are just a group of low-level creatures that eat decay. For example, would you cry when you trampled on a few ants? The male protagonist Vikas did not feel the slightest guilt. At this moment, the viewers who are watching the film of District 9 are somewhat stunned. Is the movie actor such a hateful guy? The handsome boy Mbat cursed in a low voice. This sentence also represents the aspirations of many movie audiences throughout the history of film. Almost all the male protagonists in the film have a magnificent attitude. Even if they are both righteous and evil, they will retain the most basic conscience, or the protagonist has the shining point of humanity. But, what's the matter with Vikas, the male protagonist in the 9th district? The boy Mbat muttered. I only saw pure evil on him. Zhe, the boss of New Line Pictures, and Jonathan, the company's vice president, couldn't help but glance at each other. Jonathan, they are also a little confused now. The movie continues. Flamethrower on top. The male protagonist, who had just pulled out a few infusion tubes by himself and killed several alien babies, immediately ordered his security personnel to use flamethrowers to target these eggs and burn them. Destroy all the 40-50 eggs in front of you. These unborn little aliens, have you heard? These popping sounds are like popping popcorn. All the little guys who stayed inside burst out. The actor looked at the camera lens that followed with a smile on his face. At this moment, he was even more confused. He felt the actor's deep evil thoughts. Boss, this movie by Wald Pictures, you really dare to shoot anything? These aliens are called Daksha, and they are restricted to the 9th area. In reality, they are not talking about African refugees, and the people who live at the bottom. New Line Films Vice President Jonathan said in a low voice. Yes, Shay Chen Xiang said, it was mapped in reality after all. You know, the U.S. military acting style overseas, for the people of those countries, underlying. Can not so friendly implicated innocent young and old, women and children, it is a common thing. It also has a good name, eliminate evil and uphold justice. The movie continues to play. It's really messy here, there are children everywhere. So, we just wiped out the dozens of unborn little alien babies just to make the living environment here better. He laughed this time. Sister Literature Network. They came to the door of an alien refugee's house. A young little alien is in front of the door, playing alone. Sir, let me just shoot him. A security officer raised his gun and said, No, don't shoot now. Come on, little guy, I brought you candies. Go on, eat your candies. The actor threw a candy to the little boy like a charity, and threw it on the ground. It is like a tycoon on the street, throwing the leftover bones to a beggar, and then arrogantly said, Eat. Kneel down and thank me for my charity. After all, I am such a kind person, he, the male protagonist, said to the security personnel on the side. Candy tastes sweet. For these little aliens, it is effective every time, such as now. However, before the words were finished, the little alien picked up the candy on the ground and threw it back to the actor. Damn. You almost poke my eyes blind with a lollipop. Oh, you, dead kid, I've tried to be polite to you. Actor angrily. Whatever is gentle, it is completely disguised. This is his most real appearance. An alien quickly walked out of the house. He is the father of the little alien. Is this your little beast? Kneel down. You kneel down for me, the actor shouted loudly. The security personnel on the side raised their guns. The movie District 9 was broadcast here, and every audience present couldn't help but frown. They affirmed the fact that the actor of the film, Vikas van der Meer, is definitely not a good person. On the contrary, he is a complete villain. Girl Gwen clenched her fists and said, These aliens are so cute. The boy MBA's characteristic head. This is the first time I saw an alien movie, isn't it right? He has seen many alien movies in the past, but for most of this type of movies, which of the aliens is not awesome, threatening to occupy and destroy the Earth? But what about the movie The 9th District? These aliens who look like big prawns have a miserable life. The story continues. The protagonist Vikas van der Meer, who has always despised aliens, was unfortunately infected with a fluid in the 9th area, which changed his human DNA. Loss of nails, changes in skin structure, red eyes. He went from being a lofty human being who could wantonly take the lives of others, and gradually became the most annoying and contemptuous alien he has always been. Well, or the prawn in his mouth. The film District 9 has completely kicked off. Time passed slowly. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day, New York Manhattan director Michael Bay, who just ended a publicity www.wooksyaspit.com, was a little panicked at the moment he learned from the Disney staff that the film Pearl Harbor had a poor reputation and its box office performance was far below expectations. In particular, the reputation of Pearl Harbor is far inferior to the movie District 9, which was released at the same time, and he did not look down upon this, how could this be? Known as the explosive shell, he was a little confused and panicked at the moment. He deeply knows what is waiting for him once the movie fails. Fake. This sentence is false. In other words, the bad reputation is temporary. Pearl Harbor will be successful, I firmly believe. Michael Bay was incomparably hysterical. The first update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record this time. Chapter 534, Explosion Shell Panic. Reading records. Next time you open the bookshelf to see if you like Hollywood begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Widget, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 530, The Proud Son of Heaven. In 2020, many well-known Hollywood media newspapers have named Nolan the next Spielberg title. Does Nolan really deserve these honors? Whether it is the early Follow, Shards of Memory, Insomnia, or the later Batman trilogy, Fatal Magic, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, after decades of working in the industry, all of his films have been profitable even in the eyes of many people. The box office data of the film Creed, which hit the street at the box office, is far less than expected, over $200 million in production costs. The production company lost money, but in fact, the peripheral industry licensing of the movie Creed had already made a lot of money for the production company before the movie was released. This shows how strong the commercial attributes of Nolan films are. Nolan has been in the industry for decades, and although he has never won any A-category international film awards for Hollywood film companies, he is simply a cash cow. The pride of the movie industry. This is after 2010. Many film companies gave Christopher Nolan the best praise. Then the problem is coming. Before 2010, before Nolan, which Hollywood film director was called the favorite of the film industry? The answer is Michael Bay. In 1994, he directed his first film Jedi Men with a production cost of $8 million and won a global box office of $140 million. In 1996, he filmed his second film Break Into Death Island, which earned a box office of $335 million worldwide. In 1998, the directed sci-fi action movie Peerless Tribulation was released. The box office of the film reached $36.08 million in the first weekend in North America, and finally won a global box office of $550 million. In just a few years, Michael Bay completed his gorgeous transformation in Hollywood and became one of the hottest directors in the 90s. He was the most glamorous young boy in the directorship of that era. The name Heaven's Proud Son spread like wildfire. He later created the Transformers series of films, which have blown up the world, completely engraving his name in film history. But now, today in 2001, he was a little confused. The Pearl Harbor movie I shot obviously should blow up the world. Let countless people sing praises for me, box office sale, but you told me its reputation is bad. I don't want to accept this fact. I don't want to believe it. Dude, you know Michael Bay today, but the proud man in the film industry. For a while, Michael Bay, who had just finished a publicity campaign, changed his old face a little. The expression changes and is extremely rich. Ben Affleck and Kate Beckinsale, the male and female starring actors in the film Pearl Harbor, looked at Michael Bay, whose expressions were constantly changing, and couldn't help but have a lot of doubts. What happened? Affleck whispered, "Do not know." Kate Beckinsale shook her head and whispered, "It must be the movie Pearl Harbor that made Michael Bay such a change, but it doesn't make sense." Affleck nodded, "Yes, it doesn't make sense. Just now, the assistant told me that Pearl Harbor is a big box office, and the attendance rate is not low, far exceeding the 9th District that was released in the same period. It stands to reason that the director should be very excited." The two people were full of doubts. However, the two are not true. After all, being able to star in Pearl Harbor, a film with a production cost of up to $140 million and a promotional cost of up to $100 million, and joining the Disney Group, is undoubtedly a huge career advancement for any actor. I can't wait. God, I want to know the box office of the movie Pearl Harbor too much now, whether it is the first day box office, the 3-day box office of the first weekend, or the final box office. Oscars have a queen a year. But how many actresses can participate in a Category A commercial blockbuster with a production cost of more than $100 million? I have surpassed many people. Standard literature. My future is a smooth road. Actress Kate Beckinsale, at this moment, is full of countless wonderful imaginations about the future. Ben Affleck is a little more reserved, however. His heart is also very excited. The Pearl Harbor movie is bound to sell well. After all, the director Michael Beck is the pride of the sky and the guarantee of the box office. Ben Affleck secretly said in his heart Michael Bay, Wald Pictures, boss, Mr. Wald, chairman, Zhu Ke, who has just left the head office of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, now appears in Wald Pictures. As soon as he stepped into the door of Wald Pictures, he was embraced like an emperor. All employees who met Zhu Ke got up and said hello. The first time the big boss is here, don't you behave? Do you want to wait for death? Zhu Ke's first sentence when he saw President Kevin Feige was, Disney has spent a lot of resources to suppress the negative news of Pearl Harbor. Yes, boss. Kevin Feige nodded and said, since Pearl Harbor was released, word of mouth has declined rapidly. Aside from the wonderful blasting scenes of about 40 minutes, the rest are very dog-blooded triangular love stories. Many movie audiences are watching. After Ying left, she immediately complained about it. Speaking of this, Kevin Feige was immediately happy. Oh my god, I still don't understand how Michael Bay, known as the explosive shell and explosive demon, thinks the movie Pearl Harbor is in theaters. It lasts 183 minutes, with only 40 minutes of exciting scenes. Other plots can be described as long and dull. It is said that the audience in any movie theater, during watching the movie, I've all been to the bathroom. Tisk tuss, there is so much urine. Bang Bang Bay's filming of Pearl Harbor is different from the past. There are few pure war scenes, too many literary attributes, and a huge amount of his personal thinking. Follow the Titanic, talk about love, play art, painting a tiger can't be an anti-dog, he is playing it, Zhu Ke said in amazement. The proud man of heaven exploded shellfish, this time it is estimated to be bad, this is simply happy to see, falling into trouble, gloating, taking advantage of others, with these indiscriminate methods, Zhu can't play too slippery. Kevin Feige laughed and said, although these negative news have appeared in a concentrated manner today, Disney moved quickly and quickly suppressed the spread of negative news. However, I estimate that even Disney suppressed at most 3-5 days. Hearing this, Zhu Ke immediately squinted his eyes and said, we and Disney are old friends. It is immoral to watch them deceive the audience. In a word, it must be exposed. Understood, boss. Kevin Feige instantly understood. www.wooksiaspit.com. Squinting is not a good thing. Kevin Feige looked at his boss and slandered to himself. Kevin Feige is not bad for his ability to fuel the flames with an order. The power of the entire Wald Pictures quickly spread, even for the parent company Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. Victor, as the CEO, also ordered the first time to cooperate with the publicity to reveal all the negative news of Pearl Harbor being suppressed, and cleverly added oil and vinegar. The method is not necessarily so smart, but it is practical enough. The two newspapers, California Entertainment and Los Angeles Entertainment, are very willing to be the vanguard. The second update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 535, The Pride of Heaven, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Widget, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 531, Box office data have been released one after another. With an order, California Entertainment and Los Angeles Entertainment, as Hughes' doglegs, jumped out first. California Entertainment owner-writer Stanley wrote the article himself. He said, Pearl Harbor movie surpasses Titanic? This is director Michael Bay's threats before the movie is released. However, now the movie is released, a cruel reality tells us that he thinks too much? No. To be precise, he is completely wishful thinking. The movie Pearl Harbor is simply horrible. You are not mistaken. Uphold the morals of a news media person. I dare to use my personality to swear that I fell asleep when I was not halfway through watching this movie in the theater. Oh, God, this is the only time in the past 10 years that I watched a movie in a theater and fell asleep. It can be seen how bad it is. The long, dull story, the triangular love story of vulgar blood, turned out to be the main theme of the Pearl Harbor incident that reflected the experience of World War II. I really want to be in front of director Michael Bay and ask him personally, are you funny? With $140 million of funds, this, such, and such a shot. I want to say, What kind of thing is it? California entertainment owner-writer Stanley, he personally wrote this article about the Pearl Harbor movie. The entire content is more than 2,000 words. Curse, scold fiercely, quoting and scolding. In a word, he wants to pay director Michael Bay to autistic. As the owner of the California entertainment, writer Stanley was born as an entertainment paparazzi in his early years, but he is definitely a young man who is willing to learn and strive for progress. He came out to break into society at the age of 15. What is his life experience rich? His pen kung fu is not learned in school, but learned in society time and time again. His sharp speech style accurately grasps the hearts of the main readers as predicted. Michael Bay, the director of the film Pearl Harbor, saw this article. Damn writer, you squirt. Michael Bay gritted his teeth. Uphold the ethics of a news media person. Dare you to swear by your own personality? Haha, no one in Hollywood knows that you're a paparazzi, and once one of the most famous paparazzi. From 1988 to 1991 and 2009, you spent 3 years in jail. Why? Isn't it because of your wickedness that you smoked and created dozens of fake news for newspaper sales, and finally got in by others? You are still licking your face and talking about the morality and personality of the news media people. Shameless. He was furious. However, writer Stanley's criticism article is just the beginning. Andre, the editor-in-chief of the Los Angeles Entertainment News, published an article shortly thereafter. The movie Pearl Harbor, please go to see me and I won't go. This is the title. Los Angeles Entertainment News published an article. Throughout the film style of director Michael Bay, it can be described as explosions, explosions, and explosions. The fast rhythm makes people feel like drinking a glass of ice cola in the hot summer. Extremely cool, but what about the new work Pearl Harbor? Michael Bay, who has always only exploded, and exploded, actually played art. My God. It's like making a grumpy gorilla go ballet. Funny. It's unsightly, not to mention that the film surpasses Titanic. I think even the movie released at the same time and Wald Pictures' new film District 9 is much better than it. Michael Bay? Tisk tisk. The full text is full of ridicule. When Michael Bay read this article, he only read half of it, just because he couldn't bear it. He directly tore the pieces of the newspaper in his hand and slammed it into the sky. His entire popularity was ruined. Defamation. It's completely slanderous. What are writer and Andre? I'm going to sue you. Accuse you of invading the house and bankrupting your property. At the same time, Disney Group. SoCal Library. Robert Iger, the CEO of Disney Pictures, a subsidiary of the Disney Group, couldn't help but slap his teeth after seeing Golden Dawn Entertainment Group's boost. Kevin Fitch, Victor Jones, and Zhu Ke Wald, the three of them are really fast enough. Robert Iger looked gloomy. Innocence is unreliable. You must start as soon as possible. War is a bird. It is better to engage in a triangle. From the website of Rotten Tomatoes, this is a news that the movie Pearl Harbor was pinned to the top on the Rotten Tomatoes website, and the number of likes reached as high as 13,000. Previously, the Rotten Tomatoes website was deleted under pressure from the Disney Group, and it has now appeared again thanks to the promotion of the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. The negative news that the theater was suppressed by the Disney Group began to gradually explode. A piece of unfavorable news quickly flooded into the Disney Group and the film Pearl Harbor. Of course, Disney is not vegetarian. You can attack my movie. Then I will not feel guilty if I attack your movie. District 9. Disney shot. A piece of negative news related to the 9th District has continuously appeared under the propaganda of the network Navy and the media. The forces of the two major media groups have clashed. All of my fellow Hollywood colleagues turned into melon-eating people in an instant. Lionsgate Pictures owner Augusta. Fight. Both are not good things. The dog bites the dog. Gate Films locks. I hope you will fight the dog. Blood. Zhe, owner of New Line Films. Although New Line Films is a subsidiary of Disney, I don't want Disney to have a good time. Disney will come to interfere with my operation of New Line Films if it is stable. Zook, you fellow. Although I am also very annoying, but this time I applaud and shout for you, kind colleagues. Watching the excitement one by one is not too big a problem. However, DreamWorks Animation is anxious on the sidelines. My Shrek animation movie, the fate is too rough. Right, Jeffrey Katzenberg, head of DreamWorks Animation, said, on May 18th, Shrek was just released, and the news of Spider-Man was sold offline. What about now? Disney and Jinshu Guang, the two gods fought. And once again robbed the heat. MMP. A few days later, Monday, 9 a.m. the North American movie box office data for the weekend of last week was officially released. The first place, Pearl Harbor, produced by Disney Group, won more than $47 million at the box office for 3 days in the first weekend. Second place, District 9, produced by Wald Pictures, won more than $39 million at the box office for 3 days in the first weekend. Number 3, Shrek, released on May 18. Following the previous weekend, it won a box office of $32 million in 3 days last weekend, and the cumulative box office reached $81 million. Good grades, of course, if there is no intervention by Zhu Ke, in the original time and space. As of this day, its North American box office data has reached $98 million, which is almost over $100 million but now. Haha. www.wuxiaspot.com only more than $81 million. The Pearl Harbor, produced by Disney Group, which occupied the championship position, won more than $47 million at the box office for 3 days in the first weekend. That's awesome. Zhu's contribution to the flames. Has it failed? Of course not. In the original time and space, the box office of Pearl Harbor in the first weekend of the 3 days was as high as more than $59 million. And now it is $12 million less. This is now the media power of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. It's not unreasonable that Disney hates Zhu. The first update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record this time. Chapter 536 box office data has been released one after another. Reading records. Open the bookshelf next time. You can see it. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends. QQ, blog, Wedget, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 532. Zero State of Beings of Actors. With the release of the North American box office data last weekend, the theater, as a broadcast platform, adjusted the number of movies shown on the road in the near future or increased or decreased. The film Pearl Harbor bears the brunt. You must know that a few days ago, the film Pearl Harbor was screened in 4,190 theaters across the United States. The scale of the screening and the number of screens are the most since the beginning of 2001. Looking at the historical records since the 1990s, the scale of the 4,190 cinemas can also be ranked in the top 15, but the result, the box office performance of Pearl Harbor, was far below expectations. One of the 3 major theaters in the United States, AMC Cinema, a person in charge said, "The film Pearl Harbor occupies too much film volume and projection resources, but its performance did not meet expectations. According to our AMC Cinema, with the agreements signed with the producers and distributors, we certainly have the right to make flexible adjustments to the number of films discharged. AMC is very dissatisfied with Pearl Harbor and will naturally shrink the emission reduction film, and it is a substantial reduction in emission reduction films." The Disney Group, of course, is not happy. Even Robert Iger himself took the lead. Dieter, "We have had a partnership between Disney and the AMC department for many years, and, in terms of human relations, we are also friends for many years. Do you really want this?" Robert Iger frowned and said, "Can we not cut down on the schedule of Pearl Harbor?" "Well, I don't want it for long, and it will last another 7 days. What do you think?" Hearing this, Dieter suddenly looked embarrassed. Dieter Efron, 49, is the senior vice president of AMC Cinemas and a proper executive. At the same time, he and Disney Pictures CEO Robert Iger are still high school classmates. 5 days, Dieter gritted his teeth and said, "Man, I can buy you up to 5 days. You know, I am not a boss of AMC theaters after all." Robert Iger sincerely said, "Thank you. Thank you very much." He is not someone who doesn't know what is good or bad. As Dieter said, he is not the boss of AMC theaters. Of course, even if Dieter Efron is the owner of the AMC theaters, it will not be possible to maintain the film series for Pearl Harbor for a long time. The shareholders of the AMC cinema chain will never sit back and watch their own interests suffer. Hey, when Dieter saw this from his old friend, he couldn't help sighing. "Old man, this time the film Pearl Harbor lost the box office. Whether it is your producer or director Michael Bay, you must bear the absolute responsibility." I watched the movie. In a word, I think Michael Bay will not touch some love and literary themes in the future and concentrate on his explosive movies. Well, not every director is James Cameron. The voice fell. Robert Iger's mouth twitched. To be honest, at this point, he also regrets cooperating with Michael Bay. It's not good for you to honestly shoot an explosion. Why do you want to make those so-called twirl connotations? Robert Iger was full of resentment. He remembered today, remember firmly, in a decision a few years later, he will be proud. In 2003, Michael Bay took the Escape from the Island script to find Disney again for cooperation. Robert Iger directly refused joke, the production cost of $120 million, or the so-called toll connotation. How could Robert Iger agree? Subsequently, Warner Brothers Pictures was pitted 5,200 novel network. The film Escape from the Clone Island was released in 2004, and the box office suffered a terrible loss and the producer suffered a blood loss. The loss is much worse than Pearl Harbor. At the same time, a studio in Los Angeles, the actor Joaquin Phoenix, who has always worked well with Wald Pictures, looked at the newspaper in his hand. A little startled, he regretted it. Incomparable regret. Once upon a time, when the District 9 film was publicly approved and auditioned for cast selection, the first actor invited was him, Joaquin Phoenix. After all, he has collaborated with Wald Pictures for a number of films, and it can be said that it is the first time to come as long as he is willing. He is basically the actor in the 9th District, but he refused. Jack, you are now in a very critical period of upswing. According to the market price, your remuneration for a leading actor will not be less than $10 million. However, the total production cost of the film District 9 is only $30 million. They will never accept our offer. The words of the agent are still in my ears. Joaquin Phoenix also thought at the time, it is difficult for a low-cost science fiction film of $30 million to have a high box office. The most important thing is that the director of the 9th District is Christopher Nolan, who has not yet caught fire, rather than Zack Snyder. Haha. Joaquin Phoenix put away the newspaper and laughed at himself. I underestimated others. He regretted it extremely. Undoubtedly, he missed the opportunity for him to go further at this moment. Lyle, the agent of Joaquin Phoenix, ran all the way and came here. He is here to apologize. Joaquin, I want to apologize to you. Because of my short-sightedness and rigid thinking, you missed the 9th District. Lyle was firm, very guilty in his heart. Jack waved his hand and smiled. It's nothing. Once I wanted to make a movie, no one wanted me. You have always been with me. Career is very important, but good brothers are equally important. Lyle was extremely moved. Jade Bird Brokerage Company is a subsidiary of Wald Pictures. It is highly anticipated the premieres of the films Shark Beach and District 9, all of them, who are the contracted actors of the Jade Bird agent, participated. Alan Page sighed. The 9th District movie is really amazing. Tom Hardy nodded. It is indeed. The production cost of $30 million. The filming of such an excellent science fiction movie. The box office is also very good. I have a hunch that the director of the film, Christopher Nolan, will soon. Later he will become one of the hottest directors in Hollywood. No, in other words, he is now a hot star director. Haha. Robert Pattinson laughed and said, the box office of District 9 is so good. www.wooksyaspit.com. I guess that those people who refused the audition invitation and were eliminated should have a burst of mentality, right? As soon as this was said, a group of young actors from Jade Bird's agent all laughed. You do not say. Many Hollywood actors regret it now. I regret that there is nowhere to sell the medicine. Megan Foxtooth held his chin and said with envy, the 9th District is so powerful. The movie Burst Drummer, directed by Mr. Wald himself, shouldn't be bad. In the movie Burst Drummer, you must know that all the small actors of the Bluebird Brokerage have appeared. Even if they are only small roles, they are enough to make them full of expectations. The second update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 537, Actors Living Beings, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with Animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Watchit, etc. Thank you for your support. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 533, Young Directors Exchange Meeting. A few days later, Zhu Ke, who was still on vacation, accepted an invitation to participate in an event called the Young Directors Exchange. In recent days, Zhu Ke, who was a little tired, refused to participate in this event at first. How can I not hold up James Cameron's repeated invitations? That's right, the initiator of this Young Director Exchange event is indeed James Cameron, the internationally renowned director who made Titanic. Boss, I just got a list of people attending this event from the organizer. However, as far as I know, half of the people on the invited list will not be able to come. When the convoy was about to arrive at the venue, Alexander explained the situation to Zucker. Half of the invitees are not coming. Zhu nodded. Actually, it is understandable. After all, it is the best summer vacation at the end of May. In late May, almost all major Hollywood production companies and distribution companies, including well-known directors, were at the busiest time of the year. Take over the list. Before Zhu Ke got off the bus, he first looked at the list of invited guests in the bus. Leon Reeves, Harat Anderson, K. J. Edward, Lawrence Million White. Zhu Ke read several pages of the information of the invited guests, and was awakened to discover the fact that Zhu Ke almost didn't know the young directors on this list. These people, who are they? Zhu Ke really doesn't know or understand this group of young directors. Alexander said, "Boss, James Cameron initiated this young director exchange meeting. After all, it is a young director. You don't know it. It is normal." Zhu Ke rolled his eyes. "Do you know him?" Haha. Alexander smiled. "Boss, I did some homework before I came here. Of course, if I didn't prepare lessons, I don't know many of them. After all, he is just Zhu Ke's assistant. If you were replaced by executives in the production department of Wald Pictures, he would probably be able to name the young directors on the list one by one." "Nothing specializes in the surgery industry." "What?" Zhu turned a few pages of information again, and in the last few pages, he saw the names of familiar people. "On this list, there is finally a director I know. File 009 name, Gus Van Sant. Sex, male, age 49 years old. Occupation, film director. Masterpieces, Deep Night, Hard to Sing, Love, Uninhibited Sky, Mind Catcher, Looking for Frost." So it's him. Deep Night, Love is Hard to Sing is Gus Van Sant's personal film debut, and it is said that it is also the world's first movie reflecting the theme of same-sex love. Of course, his most well-known movie Elephant has not yet been shot, otherwise his reputation will surely rise to the next level. In 2003, the film Elephant, directed by Gus Van Sant, won the Best Director award at the 56th Cannes Film Festival in one fell swoop. The film's box office performance was also impressive. File 015 name, Pedro Almodovar, Spain. Sex, male, age 52 years old. Occupation, film director. Masterpieces, Timey, Living Color and Fragrance, His Fuck, It's This Guy. Zhu Ke was slightly surprised. It's not because of how good the director Pedro Almodovar is, but because of the series of films he directed, which is of a large scale, which is a feast for the eyes. For example, the two films Timey and Life and Scent, in many countries, are too large to enter the theater market. Properly banned. Tomb Novel Network. Pedro Almodovar himself has been hailed by many as the first director of a banned film. File 027 name, Len Wiseman. Sex, male, age 28 years old. Occupation, film and television editor. Masterpieces, Independence Day, Men in Black, Godzilla. Evaluation, as a professional director, he did not enter Hollywood as a director in the first step, but as a film editor, becoming an experienced filmmaker. Len Wiseman? A familiar name. What? I remember, it turned out to be him. Len Wiseman, the man who created the Underworld series of movies. Looking at the entire Hollywood classic series, it is nothing. After all, it is comparable to the Back to the Future trilogy, the Matrix trilogy, and the Batman trilogy. Wait for the movie. It's really nothing remarkable. However, the Underworld series of movies has left a deep impression on Zhu Ke since its birth. A war between werewolves and vampires. The heroine played by Kate Beckinsale, a black trench coat, dark gothic style. These scenes, Zhu Ke traveled through to the present, vividly remembered. Although the box office of each of the Underworld series of movies is not particularly big selling or hot, but it can't stand the low cost of a single movie, and it can bring very considerable returns to the production company. Underworld 1 has a production cost of $17 million and a global box office of $97 million. Underworld 2 has a production cost of $21 million and a global box office of $120 million. The production cost of Underworld 3 is $29 million, and the global box office is $135 million. Underworld, Werewolf prequel. Its global box office exceeded $360 million. Every movie in the series makes money. In particular, the sales and leasing of DVDs and videotapes in the offline market are not low. Zhu was greedy. Nowadays, colleagues in the Hollywood industry define Len Wiseman as a film and television editor, not a director. In that case, we can work together. After half an hour, Zhu's motorcade arrived at the Pasha Hotel. where the event was held Pasha Hotel. Well, it is also an industry under Zucker's name. Zuke's hotel industry has just started, with only 3 hotels in the United States. One is in downtown Los Angeles, one is in the Zhu Ke Wald shooting base in Burbank, and the last one is in New York. Hi, Zhu Ke, my friend, you are welcome. As soon as Zhu Ke arrived at the venue, he was warmly welcomed by the event promoter and well-known director James Cameron. My friend, I'm quite interesting. Knowing that you are too troublesome and don't like to participate in such activities, I specially placed a venue in the Pasha Hotel under your name. How about? Do you think I am very careful and considerate? Card Melon laughed. Zhu couldn't help but smile. I said, old man, you are paying attention, I know, but you don't have to say it, it seems you are too fake. Cameron laughed and didn't care. Step into the hotel. Not long after, the group came to the 12th floor of the hotel, which is the venue for this young director exchange event. Zhu Ke, long time no see. Ziyi, the owner of New Line Pictures, walked over with a smile on his face. Behind him was a middle-aged man with a big beard. Shay introduced. Zhu Ke, let me introduce you. This is the director Peter Jackson from New Zealand. He is. Before he finished speaking, Zhu Ke interrupted, I know. He is the director of Lord of the Rings, you know. Shay was a little surprised at once. www.uxiaspit.com director Peter Jackson was also a little confused. After all, he is not well known in Hollywood at all, and he is no worse than those fledgling new directors. How many at this time? The movie Lord of the Rings has not yet been released, but Zhu Ke knows him. Before long, Peter Jackson's fame will resound all over the world and become the most famous international director once the Lord of the Rings trilogy comes out. Who does not know the king? In the future, he will film the Hobbit movie series, which is also a global big seller. The first update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this, Chapter 538 Young Directors Exchange Meeting, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with Animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wedget, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 534, Weta Digital. Peter, do you know? I have watched your film Angels of Sin. Kate Winslet, Melanie Lynskey and their interpretation of the boys and girls will be 2 young girls who are inexperienced and difficult to adapt to the environment. The story of a love affair between them and a bitter fruit is a great interpretation. I watched it more than once, and it was a great experience. At the exchange meeting, Zhu Ke took the initiative to talk with Peter Jackson. Talk about his past movies. Really? Have you seen Angels of Sin again? Peter Jackson was slightly surprised. After all, Angels of Sin was a movie released in 1994. Of course I have seen it, Zhu Ke said affirmatively. Peter, don't forget that you directed the movie Angels of Sins, but won the Silver Lion Award at the 51st Venice Film Festival. Even after it was released in North America, its box office performance normal, but I think it is still a good movie. To flatter, meeting people, talking ghosts, and talking nonsense. Now it has penetrated into the bones of his bones and has become a skill of Zhu Ke. If it is gamified, it will inevitably show up as touted ability LV. 10. Thank you. The bearded Peter Jackson was very happy. After all, this is touted from the Hollywood super gangster Zhu Ke. He enjoys it very much. In the next time the two had a really good chat. As for James Cameron and New Line film boss Shay, they were directly forgotten by the side. Cameron said meaningfully, Shay, the guy you brought can attract Zhu Ke's attention. It seems to be an amazing person. Ziyi sneered and said, Xiao Yinyang speaks weirdly. Don't you mean that I am afraid that Peter will make movies for Wald Pictures in the future? Do you think I need to worry about the current strength of my New Line Pictures? It is a fact that New Line Pictures is not as strong as Wald Pictures. However, the parent company behind it is Disney Group. In order to win over Peter Jackson, Shay paid a high price. He firmly believes Zhu Ke can't give a higher price. After all, Peter Jackson at this time can only be regarded as a small celebrity at best. Such a director, in the entire Hollywood, there are no 1,000, there are 800. He is not worried that Peter Jackson will be wooed by Zhukla. Oh, it seems you are quite confident. Cameron laughed. Of course, Shay was like a proud cock. Tut. Zhu Ke's hearing has always been very sensitive, and this conversation fits into Zhu Ke's ears appropriately. Winning Peter Jackson, it's true, but not looking for him to make a movie for Wald Pictures. Zhu Ke secretly said in his heart Peter Jackson's most famous masterpiece is definitely the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit movie series, but out of this, you watch the movie King Kong directed by him again, haha, good fellow, The movie King Kong, with a production cost of more than $200 million, almost cost Universal Pictures. The film was released in 2005, and it was not until 2015 that Universal Pictures recovered its losses through the offline market. Oh? You actually have a special effects company. Is it similar to Industrial Light and Magic? Zhu Ke said, suddenly hearing this. Peter Jackson proudly said, "My special effects company is called Weta Digital. It was established as early as 1993. At the beginning of its establishment, there was only one computer, but today, there are more than 200. I work for Weta Digital." At the same time, the special effects work of the Lord of the Rings movie is also undertaken by my Weta Digital. The bottom line, see you in the picture. That's right, from the beginning to the end, Zhu Ke's purpose in wooing Peter Jackson was the Weta Digital special effects company under his name, whether you admit it or not. In the first 20 years of the 21st century, the most famous and powerful special effects companies in the world are Industrial Light and Magic and Weta Digital. Weta Digital, today's value, but a mere $50 million. However, as soon as the Lord of the Rings movie was released, Weta Digital has completely risen, and its market value has rapidly increased by countless. Peter Jackson said again, Mr. Wald, I am not telling you. I think my Weta Digital is no worse than Industrial Light and Magic. Industrial Light and Magic is very strong in terms of virtual environment special effects, but, speaking of motion capture, I think my Weta Digital is currently the strongest in the world. When it comes to Weta Digital, Peter Jackson is full of pride. Is it? Zhu Ke pretended to be shocked and said, "What you said made me very interested. I don't know if I have the honor to visit your company." Peter Jackson was pleasantly surprised. Welcome, very welcome. How could he refuse? As we all know, the strength of Wald Pictures is the top presence under Hollywood's Big Six, and even the demand for special effects is even better than that of the Big Six order. Massive orders. Peter Jackson immediately promised, Weta Digital will never let you down. For the same special effects, our price is much lower than that of Industrial Light and Magic. Zhu nodded. In fact, Zhu Ke wants to directly invest in Weta Digital after all. This will bring huge rewards to Zhu. However, on this occasion today, it is definitely not the time to mention this matter. Hello, Mr. Wald, this is Len Wiseman. It is a pleasure and honor to meet you. At the beginning of the exchange meeting, Zhu Ke became the most beautiful cub in the audience, whether it is the great director James Cameron, or the owner of New Line Film Shay, or the famous director Gus Van Sant, Pedro Almodovar and others. www.uxias.com. Which one of them picked up? The weight is not as heavy as Zhu Ke. Zhu Ke is rich, even to put it mildly. The total net worth of all the people who participated in the exchange meeting today is probably not as rich as Zhu Ke. In the European and American world, where there is money, there is social status. Even the American government has to give face to the rich man with a net worth of more than tens of billions. This is the world where capital is king. Mr. Wald, this is Len Wiseman, and I am currently a film editor. Len Wiseman, who is less than 30 years old, recommended himself. Zhu nodded and said, I know you. I heard that you are still a director. Why? Are you interested in being a director now? You know, my Wald Pictures is very happy to give young people a chance. Really? Oh no, I shouldn't doubt your words. Thank you very much. If I want to be the director again, I will definitely go to Wald Pictures. Thank you for this opportunity. Len Wiseman was very excited at the beginning. He thought Zhu Ke was joking. However, Zhu gave him two phone numbers. One, Kevin Fitch's phone number. Second, Zhu Ke's own phone number. All of this shows that Zhu Ke is not joking, but really gives him the opportunity to act as a director. You said. How can he hold back his excitement? In recent years, Zhu himself and Wald Pictures have been known to be good at digging for directors. Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, etc. are all star directors promoted by Wald Pictures, and they are now well-known existences. Underworld series of movies. Zhu is still quite greedy. The second update is sent. Thank you Wolfer for your reward again. Chapter 535, Once Crazy, Now My Face Hurts. DreamWorks Group. As one of the big three of DreamWorks, Spielberg talked to Michael Bay in the office today. No, to be precise, he was comforting his old friend. Michael, don't pay too much attention to the box office trend of Pearl Harbor. In fact, the dozens of minutes of explosion scenes in the film still won the approval of many fans. Spielberg exhorted. Michael Bay smiled bitterly and shook his head. I know, but I still feel unconvinced in my heart. You mean? Spielberg frowned. Yes, Michael Bay said in a deep voice, I mean the unscrupulous and unlimited media reporters and the film critics who fan the flames everywhere. Before the release of Pearl Harbor, they all said, "Hey, look at him, Michael Bay. Besides explosions, 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 can he order anything else? I can't play art movies at all." Now, Pearl Harbor has been released for almost 2 weeks. They said again, "Hey, look at him, Michael Bay. He really can only play with explosions, explosions, and explosions." As for the literary and artistic connotation of the tall, he is totally unable to do so. The voice fails. Spielberg said coldly, "How many years have you been a director? Don't you know the urination of the media and film critics? Whether it is a commercial film or an art film, as long as they want, they have 10,000 kinds of nitpicking the way." Michael Bay, is he really not sure about the urination of the media and film critics? He is very clear, however. Michael Bay's directorial career has gone so well: Jedi Men, Brave to Death Island, Peerless Tribulation. Since officially stepping into Hollywood, Michael Bay is completely like a wall hanging in the cloak of God, making a movie in a movie, and the box office is getting higher every time. The name of the Pride of the Sky spread like wildfire. The word failure does not exist in his dictionary at all. However, this time he played it badly. Spielberg also analyzed. In fact, the Pearl Harbor movie is not bad, but Wald Pictures' new film District 9 was released at the same time as your movie. $30 million low-cost built sci-fi movies broke the box office record of a series of medium-cost movies and completely suppressed your scenery. Michael Bay suddenly felt bitter. It's okay not to mention the film The Ninth District. When it comes to it, even if it is him, Michael Bay can't help but blush. Everyone in Hollywood doesn't know who doesn't laugh. On the eve of Pearl Harbor, he criticized District 9 more than once. The Ninth District is a joke. The Ninth District, with a production cost of $30 million, is still a science fiction movie. Can it be watched? Undoubtedly. It is a properly bad movie. The opponent of Pearl Harbor has never been District 9 released at the same time, but Titanic by James Cameron. A line of rhetoric is still in my ears: how arrogant once was, how painful my old face is now. This is the case with director Michael Bay, and the starring actors in the film Pearl Harbor also have a sore face. For example, actress of the heroine Kate Beckinsale. She was very uncomfortable at the moment. Agent Kate, you know, although I am one of CAA's senior partners, I can't control the will of the entire CAA. Since Pearl Harbor failed both in word of mouth and box office, your internal rating within the company has been reduced from A+ to B. At the same time, the major Hollywood film companies have also lowered your rating considerations. As for the loss of endorsements for various products, it has become a foregone conclusion. Hearing that, Kate Beckinsale looked ugly at the moment. Hollywood is a Vanity Fair, and capital will always chase winners. The agent also said, from now on, it will be difficult for you to obtain the resources of Class A commercial blockbusters. Is there really no room for redemption? Kate Beckinsale was very unwilling. She worked so hard for so many years and devoted so much before she won the leading role of the A-class commercial blockbuster Pearl Harbor. For this reason, less than 2 months after giving birth to her daughter, she immediately went to work. However, now the movie has failed. The producers who used to chase him so enthusiastically are now indifferent. It's hard. The agent shook his head and said, past means past. There are really not many people who can turn over. Do you know Milla Jovovich? Kate Beckinsale nodded, expressing her knowledge. Note, Milla Jovovich is the actor of Alice, the heroine of the Resident Evil movie series. In the mid-90s, Mira was already a very famous actress. For this reason, she won the favor of Luc Besson's The Fifth Element. But, as you know, it hasn't turned around yet. The person said solemnly the production cost of the film, The Fifth Element, was $90 million, and the publicity expenses exceeded $50 million. At the time, it was the film with the highest investment in Gaomeng Pictures. But what about after the movie is released? There were a lot of negative reviews, and the box office was even more disastrous for this reason. Gaomeng Pictures almost went bankrupt. The dignified international director, Luc Besson, who filmed This Killer Is Not So Cold, had to leave Hollywood and return to Europe. The heroine of the film, Milla Jovovich, completely loses her position. It is difficult to get access to movies with an investment cost of more than $20 million, and she has become an actress who hates dogs. Hollywood is so realistic. Even in the future, Milla will play the heroine Alice in the Resident Evil movie series, and you reading www.uucan'tchoo.com will become popular again, and she will not be exposed to Category A first-line commercial productions again. Kate Beckinsale said with a bitter expression. I see, the agent comforted. Think about it for yourself, and I'll look at it for you. In fact, in the future, Kate Beckinsale's fate is very similar to Milla Jovovich. Kate Beckinsale later starred in a Legend of Night series of movies, once again became popular, and did not have any chance to come into contact with a first-line commercial production of Class A. Since then, she has completely lost the opportunity to become a first-line actor in Hollywood and can only be reduced to a second line. There is one sentence the broker did not say. Kate Beckinsale, on the eve of the Pearl Harbor movie, has repeatedly spoken badly to the 9th District movie in Zhuke. Does she still have the chance to become popular somewhere in Los Angeles? Kate Beckinsale, she's done, Matt Damon said to his good friend Ben Affleck. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Zhu Ke Wald will avenge Kate Beckinsale. Ben Affleck breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Thank you for reminding me, otherwise, I guess I will be settled by the Autumn Queen now." During the promotion of Pearl Harbor, Kate Beckinsale made many utterances, but Affleck, as the actor, remembered the advice of his friends, and was always able to maintain rationality and restraint, and never published any attacks on Zhuke himself. Remarks Matt Damon sneered, "In Hollywood, we can be arrogant, but we have to score people. We must not offend people of the status of Mr. Zhu Ke Wald, not a single bit." Ben Affleck nodded, his emotional intelligence is not low. The first update is sent. Chapter 536, Zhuke is like a light. The next day after starting the vacation mode, Zhu Ke stepped into the headquarters building of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group again after nearly 2 months. "What?" CEO Victor was surprised. "Boss, do you mean that Vita Digital, based in New Zealand, is a special effects company that is not inferior to Industrial Light and Magic?" Zhu Ke emphasized. "I mean potential." Victor still asked, "Boss, you have to understand that an excellent special effects production company is not only a simple model of special effects software plus special computers plus first-class special effects artists, but the most important thing is the ability to develop new technologies. In this regard, Industrial Light and Magic is very powerful." Obviously, Victor was skeptical. Hollywood's slightly larger production companies have their own special effects departments for film and television, which can produce some simple special effects, but the real big scene special effects and top special effects still need to be commissioned by professional special effects companies. Moreover, a large price tag is required. The cost of special effects for the 2 films Spider-Man and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by Wald Pictures is an astronomical figure. Zhu Ke immediately laughed and scolded, "Victor, only you in the entire group will question me and not give me face." Upon hearing this, Victor solemnly said, "Boss, I am the CEO of the group. I need to be responsible to the group and to you." Zhu Ke twice waved his hand, and said, You, I can't tell you. In short, I am optimistic about the future of Vita Digital. Of course, I will go to New Zealand in the next few days and take a look." Victor nodded. In fact, Zhuke can make all decisions of the company in one word. There is no need to give Victor any face, but Zhuke will not do this, nor can he do it. Victor serves as the CEO of the group. His performance is not exceptional, but he wins in a stable position, which is very satisfactory to Zhu Ke. After all, there are a large number of professional managers in Hollywood who are eager for quick success. This kind of person Zhu Ke has always despised him. "Victor, do you want to come with me and see?" Zhu Ke suddenly proposed. Victor was taken aback immediately, but after thinking about it for 10 seconds, he said, "Yes. But I will have time to leave after 3 days, and I will not stay in New Zealand for more than 2 days." Zhuke immediately clapped his hands and applauded. "The time planning is so precise, and the existence of a CEO like you is definitely a boon for any boss." The compliments of Hangago, which boss doesn't like capable and dedicated subordinates. Victor smiled and said, "Boss, I am only interested in Vita Digital because I heard what you said. Once it is really as you say, it has excellent potential, then we will invest in it, or even gradually acquire it. It is also a good idea." A good thing, of course it is a good thing. With the development of the times, high-investment special effects movies have gradually become mainstream Hollywood movies in the 21st century, and Zhuke holds a large number of superhero copyrights. These copyrights want to be filmed, so the expenditure on special effects is definitely not a small number. There is a particularly outstanding special effects company in hand, which will greatly promote the overall operation of the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. Victor's tone was firm. Zhuke nodded again. In 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilm, including its subsidiary Industrial Light and Magic, for which it paid a large purchase price of more than $4 billion. The profitability of the special effects company itself can only be said to be average. After all, A lot of money is invested in the research and development of new technologies, but an excellent special effects company is definitely a special part of a film company who doesn't look at industrial light and magic in the six Hollywood. Zhu Ke is also very greedy, but at this moment Lucas will not sell. After all, Lucas is still very energetic. On the other hand, Weta Digital, it has not yet fully emerged. On the contrary, it has the opportunity to become a subsidiary of Golden Dawn Entertainment today. A few days later, Zhu Ke and CEO Victor and his team traveled to New Zealand on a private jet. Lola, there are no secrets in Hollywood. No, the news spread as soon as Zhu Ke and others flew out of Los Angeles. What is this guy doing in New Zealand? Zhi, the owner of New Line Pictures, immediately fell into thought, and the sorrow between his brows couldn't be resolved. Suddenly, his inspiration flashed, and he immediately called director Peter Jackson. Peter, where are you now? Are you going back to New Zealand? Yes, I just returned to New Zealand this morning. The voice of director Peter Jackson soon came over the phone. Shay clenched his fist and asked, "Is it because of that guy's Hugh?" Bearded Peter Jackson didn't think much, and replied, "Yes, at the Young Directors Exchange event the other day, Mr. Wald and I had a great conversation, and he should also arrive in New Zealand today, to visit my Weta Digital company, Mr. Shay, is there any problem?" Hearing this, Zhi felt much more relieved. Why? Because of the huge investment in special effects companies, Shay's New Line Films doesn't need it, and can't afford it. The phone hangs up. Shay's mouth raised slightly and smiled. Zhu Ke Wald is still always cunning. Visiting Weta Digital? Haha, I don't believe a word. In my opinion, he just aimed at Weta Digital has become the purpose of a subsidiary of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. The voice fell. The company's vice president Jonathan said in amazement, "Then shall we stop it?" Shay waved his hand and shook his head. "We have no reason to stop. Moreover, we can't afford the special effects company. It is not us that should worry about it, but Disney, Columbia, and the six Hollywood big players like Universal." As predicted, the six major Hollywood companies also received the news immediately and made accurate judgments. Fooling these old foxes is not that simple. In just a few years, Zhu Ke's reputation has become too popular and has become the focus of everyone's attention. It will become the focus wherever he goes, just like a firefly in the night. It is impossible to hide himself. Disney, we can't stop it. Since the film Pearl Harbor lost at the box office, Disney's serious internal struggle broke out again on a large scale. Even Robert Iger, CEO of Disney Pictures, was almost removed from his post. It can be seen how fierce the struggle is. www.uxiaspit.com. Sony Columbus, why stop? A special effects company in New Zealand. It's no big deal for Jin Shuguang to buy Times if it wants to buy it. Hollywood does not lack excellent special effects companies, and the number is particularly large. However, they murmured about the potential of Weta Digital, which is comparable to the existence of industrial light and magic in the future, and even better in terms of motion capture technology. Universal, professional special effects company, is just a golden beast. There is no need to introduce it, since Universal Pictures was acquired by the French Vivendi Group. High profits have been the first goal. Paramount, that fellow Zhu Ke is not a targetless person. When it comes to understanding Zhu Ke, we at Paramount absolutely have a say. Weta Digital is very likely to be a potential gold. The media magnate Lei Shiden immediately became interested and arranged for people to visit New Zealand. Murdoch, the media magnate of 20th Century Fox, also made the same choice, appointing the company's vice president to investigate quickly. The private jet Lola successfully arrived in New Zealand. Victor smiled and said, "Boss, we are investigating Weta Digital with such a big fanfare. I guess the whole Hollywood knows it." Zhu Ke shrugged his shoulders and said, "If you know it, I know it. Weta Digital, I am determined to win, unless they are richer than me. Not give a about." Zhu Ke doesn't care about the reaction of major Hollywood movies. Today, Zhu Ke has the confidence to say this. Nowadays, like Zhu Ke of the Lamb, it is very difficult to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger and keep a low profile. In that case, Zhu Ke simply throws away these coats and handles the problem with openness. The second update is sent. Chapter 537, Visit Weta Digital. The logo of Weta Digital is an insect, which looks a bit like a flea. In New Zealand, the scientific name of this insect is called Vita. Director Peter Jackson was very afraid of Vita insects after his childhood. Ever since, when the computer special effects company was founded in 1993, the company's name was defined as Weta Digital. This is the origin of Weta Digital. In 2020, Weta Digital and Industrial Light and Magic will always hold the most cutting-edge position in the film and television special effects industry, and also represent the top technical level of the entire industry. Maya mainly, Max, Realflow, Houdini, C4D, XSI, Lightwave. The software for this series of film and television special effects basically comes from two companies, Weta Digital and Industrial Light and Magic. Even in 2020. Film and television special effects companies in countries and regions such as China, South Korea, Japan and other countries and regions have been established one after another, but they still cannot shake the position of Weta Digital and Industrial Light and Magic. They are completely similar to the Taishan Bidao on the rivers and lakes. In 2001, George Lucas Industrial Light and Magic was already dominating the industry, but what about Weta Digital in 2001? Haha, he is now a younger brother, I dare not say anything else. Just a film and television special effects company in the Burbank area of the United States. If you just list it super casually, there will be 30 companies that are crushing Weta Digital. Richard Taylor, he is the core figure of Weta Digital. He is not only the founder of Weta Digital, but also a good friend of Peter Jackson, as well as a top special effects master with unconstrained ideas. The beautiful, free and wild Pandora planet with magnificent floating islands in the movie Avatar actually originated from Richard Taylor. It is because of the existence of Richard Taylor at Weta Digital that Weta Digital is valuable. Otherwise, whoever I buy in the Burbank area will be much better than Weta Digital, secretly said in his heart. Not long after, Zhu Ke and Victor and his party arrived at Weta Digital Corporation smoothly. Mr. Wald, Mr. Jones, welcome to Weta Digital. The one who greeted Zhu and others was naturally the bearded Peter Jackson. Of course, there are also a large number of Weta employees. Zhu smiled and said, Peter, we are friends. You are so fanatical. Are you treating me as an outsider? Peter laughed and said, how come? It is because you are my friends that I want to make the battle bigger. Victor twitched his mouth, pointed to the outside, and said, what about these media reporters? Upon hearing this, Peter Jackson smiled. Embarrassing. Zhu clapped his hands and said, these reporters are definitely made by you, Peter. Of course, don't worry, I will definitely cooperate today. Suddenly, Peter Jackson's eyes lit up. Today's Weta Digital is not the top presence in the special effects industry in the future. It is just a younger brother. Peter Jackson, as the host, will certainly not give up the opportunity for publicity during Zhu's visit. They need more orders. In his words, as long as Zhu's visit to Weta Digital is publicized, other film and television companies will inevitably be interested. By then, the special effects orders from major film companies will not be like rain coming. Peter Jackson's chicken thief is very good in addition to being a director. He is also a businessman. This is a very high-hearted mood today, and I am willing to give Peter Jackson a face. The interviews with reporters at the moment are not rejected. Mr. Wald, during your visit to New Zealand, apart from visiting Weta Digital, are you interested in investing in New Zealand? Mr. Victor Jones, you, as the CEO of the media giant Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, do you think New Zealand's local film companies need to work hard? One question after another was constantly raised by a group of media reporters. Zhu Ke and Victor were both old gangs. Faced with their questions, they naturally answered their questions with ease. After more than 20 minutes, a group of New Zealand media reporters got the answers they wanted and left with satisfaction. Peter, how about it? Do you save your face? Zucker said, of course, it must be of course. Bearded Peter Jackson is now happily like a child, thumbs up, and smiled. Zook, you really are my good friend, don't say anything else. Today's major media in New Zealand, they have to report, and I absolutely can't get around my Weta Digital. Victor on the side also smiled. It's not just that, right? As far as I know, the New Zealand local government introduced a series of support, tax relief, and financial subsidy policies for high-tech companies in early May this year. The arrival of our Golden Dawn will definitely give you and Weta Digital an increase. A heavy bargaining chip. The smile on the bearded Peter Jackson's face suddenly stopped. No way, Victor was right, and he pointed to the core. Huh? Zhuke was also quite surprised. The naive Peter Jackson is much more cunning than Zhuke imagined. In the following time, Peter Jackson led Zhuke and his party and began a formal inspection. Chad Taylor, the other founder of Weta Digital and the Soul Man Physics, is also in it, introducing Zhu Ke and others to Weta Digital's level of special effects technology in film and television. Mr. Wald, Mr. Jones, Weta Digital has undertaken special effects production for 19 films since its establishment in 1993, including the upcoming film Lord of the Rings 1. In order to better present the special effects of the film as a result, my team and I have made further changes in the three-dimensional special effects and synthetic special effects of the CG era www.wuxiaspit.com or improvement, whether it's modeling, materials, lighting, animation, rendering, or keying, wiping, coloring, compositing, scene view. We have made many improvements in all aspects. Richard Taylor kept talking. Peter Jackson, the bearded man on the side, was not idle either, adding that he did not fall. Zhu Ke nodded frequently. The smile on Victor's face gradually increased. As for the technology of the computer special effects industry, Zhu Ke does not know how to make it, but his vision is definitely not bad. After all, as a producer, Zhu Ke has dealt with industrial light and magic many times. A few hours later, Zhu and Victor and his party left. Peter, they didn't mention shares or acquisitions. Richard Taylor frowned. It shouldn't be. Peter Jackson, a bearded man with a naive appearance, was also puzzled at this moment. Am I wrong? He really just came to visit, not with the idea of investing in us. Ding ding ding. At this moment, the office door was pushed open. An executive said with excitement, "Boss, just now the company received two faxes, from Hollywood's Paramount Pictures and 20th Century Fox Pictures. They will also come to visit our company, Paramount, 20th Century Fox." In an instant, Richard and Jackson looked at each other, with surprise in their eyes. They are open to strong film and television companies, and they do not even reject Vita Digital as a shareholder. After all, having a backing means more capital investment and a large number of special effects orders. The first update is sent. Chapter 538, News Corporation 3 Handle. Early the next morning, Paramount representatives led the inspection team to New Zealand. "Welcome everyone, Mr. Jordan, long time no see." That's right, the leader of the Paramount expedition is indeed Zhu Ke's old friend, Jordan, who is now the head of Paramount's distribution department and vice president. The bearded Peter Jackson and Richard Taylor of Weta Digital, as they greeted Zhu Ke yesterday, lined up to welcome them at the company's door. Peter Jackson said enthusiastically, "Mr. Jordan, welcome you to my small company." Jordan teased, "Peter, you are not honest at all. Weta Digital is not a small company, and you are the director of Lord of the Rings." Peter Jackson smiled, naively like a panda after a welcome. Jordan began a formal inspection. Motion capture technology, professional special effects computer, first-rate, talented special effects artist, a group of talented and creative employees, all these shocked the Paramount team such as Jordan. "It's so unexpected," the player Henry whispered. "Yes," another team member White suppressed his excitement and said, "I said that a small special effects company located far away in New Zealand. How can the guys Zhu Ke Wald come here in person? And me, I dare not say anything else." Weta Digital's level of special effects production is not inferior to our Paramount special effects department. As for the special effects department of Wald Pictures, let's not mention it. You do not say. At this moment, Wald Pictures, due to its short establishment time, has a slight shortage of talents compared to the Big Six. The talent reserve and technical reserve in the special effects department can be described as very poor. Team member White couldn't help but continue, especially the motion capture technology. My God, they are too successful. In my opinion, industrial light and magic may not have such a level. And me nodded heavily. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Jordan led the team to leave quickly. The group arrived at a nearby 5-star hotel and checked in. As the leader of the Paramount team, Jordan opened the remote video call for the first time after integrating some materials. After a while, a clear face appeared on the computer screen in front of Jordan. "Summer Redstone, Jordan." The result, "Lay shitting?" asked flatly. Jordan sat down in a distress, and said solemnly, "Boss, Zhu Ke's purpose for visiting New Zealand, we are quite sure that it is for Peter Jackson's Weta Digital effects. According to our judgment, the purpose of his trip is definitely more than just it's an investigation, and it's more inclined to invest in shares and acquire Weta Digital." Redstone nodded. "I know that Zhu Ke's purpose is not pure. He's Zhu Ke Wald. I know too well. Don't look at this guy. He can be mad at times, but he is a man with a very clear purpose. Film companies, TV stations, radio stations, publishing, games, the internet, film and television surroundings. His purpose is very clear, which is to gradually grow his Golden Dawn Entertainment Group and build a huge media empire. The person who knows you best is often either your enemy or your friend. Film and television special effects in the media empire are just a small section, to be honest, but they still have a certain effect on enhancing the influence of the media group." Jordan continued, "Boss, according to our one-day survey results, Weta Digital can be called a B-level good asset. I suggest that the company invest in shares or acquire it." Pondering 10 seconds later, I agreed. Redstone has never been an indecisive person, and immediately said, "You will send me the evaluation results and the detailed information of Weta Digital as soon as possible. Of course, you can start negotiations with Weta Digital first, and for specific acquisitions, a dedicated person will be arranged to be responsible." "Yes, boss," Jordan replied loudly. Paramount has taken a fancy to the excellent asset of Weta Digital. The video call ends. Jordan put down the earphones and said to himself, "Zook, although we are friends and have good personal relationships, we have a different position right now. Don't blame me for being awkward." Haha. Another day passed. Paramount's Jordan is collecting detailed information on Weta Digital with the team and preparing to start the acquisition at the same time. The representative team of 20th Century Fox also arrived at Weta Digital at noon today. "What? Can you say that again?" "The leader of the 20th Century Fox is really Lachlan Murdoch." Peter Jackson, the bearded man who got the news, was a little gag. Lachlan Murdoch. He is the eldest son of the Murdoch family and the first heir to the huge industry of media magnate Rupert Murdoch. At the same time, Lachlan has served as the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of News Corporation since 1999. Second only to his father and Chief Executive Peter Chernin, the proper third-in-command. Good friend Richard Taylor was also shocked. It turned out to be him. For now, the assets of the entire Murdoch family are not as good as that of Zhu Ke Wald alone. www.wuxiaspit.com. However, the power in the news section, especially the influence in Australia and New Zealand, Zhu Ke is not as good as the Murdoch family. Murdoch started in Australia at the same time. Murdoch's eldest son, Lachlan Murdoch, has become a celebrity in the political and business circles of Australia and New Zealand since he was announced as the heir to News Corporation. His influence is amazing in the American and European fields. Zhu Ke is not afraid of anyone. However, in Oceania, Zhu Ke's influence cannot catch up with the Murdoch family. After all, Zhu Ke does not have any industrial investment in this area. No. When Lachlan Murdoch arrived at the New Zealand International Airport, the head of the New Zealand Information Agency, minister-level officials, personally greeted him at the airport. "Look at this card. How does Zhu compare?" Don't be surprised. The Murdoch family in New Zealand and Australia is completely like a Turkish emperor, stabilized. As long as Lachlan Murdoch walks around our Weta Digital, then New Zealand's first batch of state-supported high-tech companies must have our place. Bearded Peter Jackson, as a director and businessman, also has a very sensitive political sense. Richard Taylor was also very excited. Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, Paramount Pictures, 20th Century Fox Pictures, 3 consecutive film and television industry giants visited Weta Digital, and it instantly made Weta Digital noticed by large and small film companies in the United States. In just a few days, competitors with the idea of buying shares and acquisitions have increased again. One of the most important people is John Doerr, who is called one of the 4 heavenly kings of venture capital. The second update is sent. Chapter 539, Fight Against Each Other. New Zealand. A cafe on White Avenue where the banking industry gathers. People gathered in 2s and 3s. Hey, did I say that you have heard of it?" A young blonde with a flat head whispered to the people around him. "Tannen, what gossip have you heard?" Joey of New Zealand Cooperative Bank laughed. Several people in the banking industry around him couldn't help but laugh. A big middle-aged fat man smiled and said, "Tannen, your last gossip, but it's not shallow. Don't have any bad water this time." Hearing that, Tannen, a young blonde with a straight hair, was not annoyed either. He smiled and said, "This time the news is not from the financial industry and the banking industry, but from the director Peter Jackson and his Weta Digital." Before the movie Lord of the Rings was released, Peter Jackson's reputation in New Zealand was actually quite ordinary. However, the few people present were all elites in the banking industry, and their news was widespread. Joey of the New Zealand Cooperative Bank said, "Man, I thought it was the news. Isn't it the fact that Paramount Pictures and 20th Century Fox Pictures from the United States have successively announced the acquisition of Weta Digital? Who does not know this news?" "That's it," the big middle-aged fat man said. "This incident has not rarely been reported on TV recently. After all, the representative of the 20th Century Fox is the eldest son of the Murdoch family, and news from various media outlets has gone crazy. In recent days, 2 companies, Paramount and 20th Century Fox, have launched quotations for Weta Digital. Paramount, its first offer was as high as $40 million to acquire 95% of Weta Digital's shares, Weta Digital's management team can retain 5% of the shares. The price of $40 million is really not low. Several local financial institutions in New Zealand have estimated the value of Weta Digital at $50 million. However, Paramount certainly does not approve of this estimated value. To be precise, American companies have always distrusted the evaluation standards of financial institutions in other overseas countries and regions. In fact, these are all means. If you doubt it, you just want to start at a lower price. Related companies in the United States. This set is simply not too slippery. Refuse. Bearded Peter Jackson said loudly, the price of $40 million is an insincere price, and I will not agree to it. Moreover, Weta Digital is my work, my child, and I will not sell my own children. Of righteous Lindgren, haha, shit. Outsiders laughed when they heard Peter Jackson, financial expert, and you laughed publicly. You can't sell children? Then why do you say that Paramount Pictures' $40 million price tag is an insincere price? It's just a with one hand and Satan with one hand. Shortly after, on the third day after Paramount's first offer was rejected, the offer was launched again, $45 million. This time, Paramount raised the price by a full $5 million, but it was still rejected by Peter Jackson. Meeting is not as famous as it is. Richard Taylor, the founder of Weta Digital, jokingly said, Paramount is one of the top 6 in Hollywood, and behind it there are giants like Viacom, but I never thought they would be so stingy. Peter Jackson suddenly laughed. This old fellow Summer Redstone, but the famous Grandit, is very stingy. Think about it, since 1992, the old fellow has been with his children and his original wife. The number of court cases is no less than 20 times. Why? It's not because of the dollar issue. Lei Shidan, the old guy Ang Lee's wife and children, are not willing to give an extra cent. Do you think he will spend a lot of money on the acquisition of our Weta Digital project? In a word, Summer Redstone's stingy? That is a well-known existence in the United States. Jordan, the leader of the Paramount delegation, was very sad at the moment he knew that his boss was a budget-conscious person, but he didn't expect to be so procrastinated. The professional acquisition team that just came to New Zealand was also unhappy. You must move faster, otherwise, you might be cut off by 20th Century Fox. It's no wonder that Jordan is anxious, because 20th Century Fox has shot Lachlan Murdoch, the eldest son of the Murdoch family, represents 20th Century Fox. The first bid for Weta Digital was as high as $58 million, $58 million, more than a price tag of Weta Digital's valuation at this time. Undoubtedly, this is a very sincere offer. Tisk tut. Peter Jackson shook the report in his hand and laughed loudly. The Murdoch family is still strong enough, and the offer is unambiguous. Richard Taylor nodded. Adjacent to one of the 6 major Hollywood film companies is definitely a huge plus for special effects companies like Weta Digital. With the 6 Hollywood as the foundation, will Weta Digital still lack orders in the future? However, Peter Jackson still rejected this offer from 20th Century Fox. $58 million? A very sincere price, but I think that since they have offered $58 million, they will definitely increase the price again. Peter Jackson, who has a naive appearance, is really greedy as predicted. $65 million. That's right. The second quotation from 20th Century Fox was $65 million, a full $7 million increase from the first quotation, and a full $15 million higher than the estimated value of Weta Digital. Oh, this is really a price that is hard to refuse. Peter Jackson's eyes were red. Richard Taylor, one of the founders and a master of special effects, could not remain calm at this moment. He hurriedly said, Peter, don't hesitate, and quickly agree. But Richard Taylor underestimated Peter Jackson's greed. www.uxias.com. Where is this? Peter Jackson said with blushing eyes. If they can offer a price of $58 million and $65 million, they will definitely be able to raise the price again. After a pause, he said, besides, don't forget, the people who are interested in us now are not only Paramount and 20th Century Fox, but also Jonder, one of the 4 kings of venture capital, and a large number of strong investors. Richard Taylor, the acquisition tug-of-war has begun. In a blink of an eye, half a month passed. In the past half month, investors such as Paramount, 20th Century Fox, and John Deere have successively launched their quotations for Weta Digital. News, television, radio and other media have been lively in recent days. Paramount put forward the final offer, up to $52 million. The final quotation of 20th Century Fox was as high as $67 million. It's very high. However,
Investors headed by John Doerr are not stingy with money. John Doerr quoted 3 times in a row, at $56 million, $64 million, and $72 million. However, this is not the highest. American Petroleum has a minority shareholder of Mobil Group and directly offered $80 million. This acquisition case can be said to be turbulent, and many people who eat melons watch the excitement. However, at this time, someone suddenly raised a question. As the first Zhu Ke Wald who came into contact with Weta Digital, why is there no movement now? The first update is sent. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 540, Zhu Ke. As the first Zhu Ke Wald who came into contact with Weta Digital, why is there no movement now? Where's Zhu Ke? This topic has been ignored by many media. After all, the recent Weta Digital is too lively. There are investors such as Paramount, 20th Century Fox, and John Doerr who have entered the market. They are very satisfied. The curiosity of the crowd, where's Zhu Ke going? We don't care now. This is the voice of the editor-in-chief of the New Zealand Post, and it also represents the dynamics of the mass media at this moment. June 10, 4 p.m. New Zealand local time. A local TV station in Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, launched an analysis report on the final winner of the Weta Digital acquisition. Many people in New Zealand, because of interest, watched the program for the first time. Host, Albus, male, 40 years old, a well-known local host in New Zealand. Guests invited for this program, Philip J. Moss, male, 52 years old, works at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand. He is a professor and authority figure in economics and international relations. Dear viewers, good afternoon everyone. I am the host Al. I must have heard of the special effects company Weta Digital recently. This company was established in 1993 and its address is in Wellington, our capital, but almost a month ago, not many people had heard of it. It's such an unknown name, but now, with the arrival of Victor Jones, CEO of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, and Zhu Ke Wald, a well-known billionaire, many people have learned about Weta Digital, followed closely by the famous Hollywood film company Paramount. 20th Century Fox has arrived one after another, including Wall Street venture capitalists, and they also made the purchase price. Since then, Weta Digital, a once unknown special effects company, has become the darling of the recent past. The host of the show, Albus, spoke in a hurry and frustrated, trying to attract the audience's attention as much as possible. Zucker, 20th Century Fox, Lachlan Murdoch, Paramount, John Doerr, the four king of venture capital, Wall Street. Just picking out one of them can constitute a news issue, let alone gathering together now. The surging trend directly detonated the hotspot. Philip J. Moss, professor of economics and international relations at Victoria University of Wellington, said on the program, as far as the current situation is concerned, the company that can finally successfully acquire Weta Digital is nothing more than a tripartite force. 1. 20th Century Fox Pictures. 2. John Doerr, one of the four kings of venture capital. 3. The tycoon Zhu Ke Wald. Professor Philip, can you elaborate? The host Al was puzzled. The audience at the scene and in front of the TV could not help being filled with doubts and puzzles. Professor Philip nodded and said, first of all, we will exclude Paramount Pictures. Although it is the first company to announce the acquisition of Weta Digital, its multiple offers are really too low. Well, at least compared to the other parties are absolutely insincere. In fact, the same is true. Paramount's boss, Summer Redstone, is not willing to pay more, even if he is optimistic about the future of Weta Digital. The first thing to be clear is that the special effects company itself is a golden beast. The research and development of new technologies requires a lot of money. In contrast to the 20th Century Fox Pictures, that's different. Its offer is not low, with a full $67 million, which is a very high and sincere price. At the same time, once 20th Century Fox becomes a major shareholder of Weta Digital, it will definitely be able to bring in a large number of special effects orders to Weta Digital. This is definitely a win-win thing. There is another important point. The owner of Fox Pictures in the 20th century is the Murdoch family, and the Murdoch family's influence in Australia and New Zealand is huge. I am optimistic about the 20th Century Fox Pictures. The voice fell. Many people nod frequently. Thoughtfully the host of the show Al continued to ask, second, John Doerr,
one of the 4 VCs. Do you like him? Hearing this, Professor Philip nodded and said, as we all know, John Doerr, one of the 4 kings of venture capital, since resigning as an Intel executive, in the past more than 10 years, he has made frequent investments. Many companies in China have brought him a lot of rewards, and his connections on Wall Street with countries and regions are not low. Even if the purchase price he offered is not the highest, it is enough to benefit Weta Digital. Everyone nodded again. Professor Philip can become an authority in both economics and international relations. Of course there is a set. The most typical is the column data. The presentation of cases and data convinced many people. So, what's the matter with Mr. Zhu Ke Wald? The host asked. As far as I know, Mr. Zhu Ke Wald did not take any follow-up actions after visiting Weta Digital, and did not initiate an acquisition. Why do you think that he will become Weta Digital new owner? This question is also a question of many people. Even in this acquisition, many people almost forgot about Zhu Ke's existence. After all, Zhu Ke has not made any moves until now. There are no signs of action. No wonder everyone forgot about Zucker's existence. Haha, smoke bombs. Professor Philip said solemnly, I am quite sure that Zhu Ke Wald is definitely not a spectator of this Weta Digital acquisition. He will definitely take action. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves. Suddenly, many audience members were in an uproar. The audience who are watching the TV can't help but be puzzled at the same time. Lachlan Murdoch, the eldest son of the Murdoch family, and the acquisition team of 20th Century Fox are also watching the show. What? A team member exclaimed. I even forgot that guy's Zhu Ke Wald. Immediately after, a team member patted his forehead sharply, and said in shock, we came to New Zealand, didn't we come to Zhu Ke Wald from the beginning? Suddenly www.wooksiaspit.com. Many people looked at each other. Lachlan Murdoch, as the third in command of News Corporation, at this moment, his face looked ugly. Before coming, my father warned me that Zhu Ke is a very, very cunning guy. I don't want to. We still ignore it. Okay. Before visiting New Zealand, Rupert Murdoch appointed his eldest son to come to show that he valued Zucker. Not only that, in private in recent years, Murdoch has repeatedly used Zucker's young and promising to educate many of his children. However, Lachlan still ignored it. It is no wonder that in the future, he will voluntarily resign from all positions in News Corporation. His mental age is far less than his physical age. Paramount represents the team as the team leader. Jordan completely relaxed in his words. Come on, to such a stingy boss. Since I already know that the acquisition is hopeless, why should I worry about it? Sometimes it's very difficult to pretend to be a fool and be a salted fish in peace. Is it good? In terms of career survival, Jordan also has a set. Jordan watched the TV show and thought to himself, Victor returned to Los Angeles very early, but Zhu Ke was stranded in New Zealand. According to the news, he was eating and drinking in various cities and was not able to go all the way. He would give up Victoria. Tower Digital? I don't think so. Upheaval. Suddenly, at the end of the TV show, the show host Al's face suddenly changed. Why? In his headset, there was a reminder from the show director. A familiar name ran directly into his mind. Zhu Ke Wald. Zhu Ke shot. The second update is sent. Chapter 541, Heavy News. New Zealand, the capital Wellington. The spokesperson of the Wellington Ministry of Commerce directly announced a blockbuster news under the witness of a group of media reporters. Dear friends from the media, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, Mr. Zhu Ke Wald, a well-known American rich man and chairman of the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, formally reached a series of cooperation agreements with the New Zealand government and plans to invest $500 million invested in the construction of water plants in Christchurch and Hawke's Bay areas to provide the highest quality bottled drinking water for New Zealand, the United States, and various countries and regions around the world. $500 million. This total investment, looking at the Great Heaven and the United States, can also cause a wave of shock, not to mention the vast land and sparsely populated New Zealand. Immediately, the media reporters on the scene boiled. Real or fake? A young female reporter couldn't help covering her small mouth with her right hand, unable to hide her shock. The photographer next to her blurted out in shock, the single investment amount is as high as $500 million. This is really a big deal. If I remember correctly, this is the largest overseas investment that has settled in New Zealand in recent years. Many people were shocked. Since then, the media reporters at the scene became even more enthusiastic and began to ask questions one after another. At the same time, the 20th Century Fox, Paramount, John Doerr and others who received the news are not so happy at this moment. A chill in my heart. Lachlan Murdoch was horrified. The reason why my family's news corporation has superhuman influence in Australia and New Zealand is no wonder it is because of our series of investments in these two places. But what now? Zhu Ke Wald, who invested $500 million in New Zealand, became a guest of the New Zealand government, and his influence took off directly. Professor Philip from Victoria University of Wellington. Why is he optimistic that 20th Century Fox can acquire Weta Digital? 1. The price offered by Fox in the 20th century is not low. 2nd. 20th Century Fox can bring more special effects orders for Weta Digital. 3rd. That is political influence after all. Considering the influence of the Murdoch family in New Zealand officials are happy to see Weta Digital cooperate with 20th Century Fox. In May 2001, the New Zealand government announced a plan to support local high-tech industries, tax reductions and exemptions, talent introduction, financial subsidies, and so on. A series of programs have great appeal to major high-tech companies. Peter Jackson and Richard Taylor of Weta Digital also value this point. However, Zhu Ke started with Wang Zhan half a month ago. Zhu Ke did not have much local influence in New Zealand, but he directly announced an investment of $500 million and signed a series of contracts, which is completely different. The official New Zealand is crooked again. However, this time they crooked to Zucker's side. The Paramount team Jordan looked at the TV screen and said in amazement, "Zook, my old friend, I have a lot to do, but I still underestimate you." Yes, he never thought that Zhu Ke would have such a big hand. $500 million. Although there are many billionaires in the world, not everyone can invest $500 million in New Zealand. After all, investors who invest in Oceania are more inclined to Australia than New Zealand. Wall Street John Doerr team at this moment. John Doerr, known as the Four Heavenly Kings of venture capital, his expression on his face is not as self-confident as he used to be. On the contrary, it is more sullen. "I miscalculated, completely miscalculated. I knew from the beginning that Weta Digital Corporation valued the high-tech industry support policy announced by the New Zealand government in early May, but I didn't think much about it." Unexpectedly, Zhu Ke Wald would have caught this and invested $500 million directly. Tusk. The young people nowadays are really amazing. John Doerr's tone kept changing. Hot novels. It was full of anger at first, then turned into chagrin, and finally full of endless sighs. Team think tank Macedo Killian sighed. "We all underestimated Zhu Ke Wald. In fact, we should have been able to think of it before. After all, he had sniped us before." Suddenly, John Doerr couldn't help his face twitching. In the eyes of global media and investors, the reason why John Doerr is called the Four Kings of the Limelight is due to his successful investments time and time again in Silicon Valley. Doerr is the godfather behind technology companies such as Sun, Google, Amazon, Netscape, Symantec, Compaq, and Twitter. Among the companies he invested in, 167 were successfully listed. Of course, the most talked about investment is to invest in Google. He invested in Google and spent $12.5 million. After Google went public, the total return was about $5.2 billion, more than 400 times the original amount. This return profit rate is simply a breakthrough in the return profit rate of Skyrim and God. But at the current time, he has not been able to successfully invest in Google, because Zhu made it. When Google needed more funds to invest in promotion and operations, Zhu Ke directly lent a large sum of money to Google through a tripartite loan from California's Standard Bank at low interest rates, directly attacking John Doerr's idea of investing in Google. Well, in other words, the current Google company has nothing to do with John Doerr. John Doerr touched his chin with a bleak expression, and said in a low voice, "Macedo, tell me, have I offended Zhu before? Otherwise, why does he always go against me?" Team think tank Macedo Killian said solemnly, "Boss, in the Weta Digital acquisition project, strictly speaking, we are latecomers." John Doerr. The next day Zhu Ke held a press conference in New Zealand and officially announced a series of investment plans. As the New Zealand official spokesperson said the day before, the total investment amount is as high as $500 million. Christchurch, also known as the Garden City, is the third largest city in New Zealand after the largest city Auckland and the capital Wellington. The city is permeated with a strong British atmosphere, and it is the most British city outside the UK. It has a strong artistic and cultural atmosphere and complete facilities. Operas, concerts, and ballet performances continue, and there are many wonderful performances by famous musicians and dancers. But the water quality in this area is also one of the best in the world. After 2003, The world's major bottled drinking water giants have taken a fancy to New Zealand's natural water environment and have invested in New Zealand to build factories well. Among them is Nongfu Spring. The water in Christchurch, New Zealand, is the Hermes and king of New Zealand water quality, $500 million, haha, how many? After 2010, just to get the right to take water in Christchurch, the cost will not be less than $1 billion. Now I have achieved everything with $500 million, including a series of equipment procurement costs. It's a huge profit. Zhu Ke is a proper capitalist. The investment of $500 million is not just for the official approval of the New Zealand government. First, you can increase the bargaining chip for the acquisition of Weta Digital. Secondly, bottled drinking water is very profitable in itself, don't you see? On the 2020 Dacian e-commerce platform, a bottle of Anna Pure New Zealand imported natural mineral water 500 milliliters and 2 bottles is priced at 38 yuan, with an average price of 38 yuan per liter. It even exceeds the retail price per liter of number 92 gasoline on the day. www.wuxiaspot.com. Don't underestimate the value of water. In 2020, who is the richest man in the Great Heavenly Dynasty? Is it a big horse or a pony? No, Nongfu Spring is on the market. Its founder, Mr. Liu, became the richest man in the Great Dynasty. Well, although he was surpassed by others in just half an hour, it also proved that bottled water can do a lot. At the end of the press conference, Zhu Ke announced, Golden Dawn Entertainment Group officially announced that it will start the acquisition of Weta Digital with an initial offer of $70 million. The first update of Ascent, and the chapter of Making Up the Deck will begin today. In order to facilitate the next reading, you can click on the favorites below to record this. Chapter 546 Heavy News, Reading Record, and you will see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with Animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wetchet, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 542, Capital Has No Emotions. Zhu Ke reprimanded him with a hefty $70 million, and the news that he wanted to acquire Weta Digital spread instantly. The speed is amazing. Originally, Weta Digital is now on the cusp of a wave. Zhu Ke's $500 million investment has also detonated the news. Now the strong alliance is definitely not the effect of 1 + 1 = 2, but the result of far exceeding 2. Immediately, a reporter asked at the press conference, Mr. Wald, this is Molly, a reporter from the New Zealand United Daily News. As far as I know, in the 20th century Fox and Paramount visited Weta before the digital company. You have led a team to inspect Weta Digital. Yes, Zhu nodded and admitted. The female reporter Molly asked, then, why did you not open the acquisition offer until today? As soon as this problem came out, the whole press conference was quiet. The reporters from the media, who were still a little noisy, also waited quietly for Zhu Ke's answer. After all, they were quite interested in it. Zhu Ke smiled and said, when acquiring a company, shouldn't I do more research? I am now asking for an acquisition. Is there a problem? After a pause, he said, of course, I know you want to ask, why would I announce the news when the dust is about to settle for companies such as 20th Century Fox and Paramount? The female reporter Molly nodded. Immediately others nodded. Zhu Ke spread his hands. There is no influence between the two, right? Female reporter Molly, she felt like she was being tricked by Zhu. Zhu smiled without saying a word. The female reporter Molly dug a hole for Zhu Ke and asked some guidance. But who is Zhu Ke? A proper old world, and has been tested by the media for a long time. Soon, the press conference was over. However, the storm has just begun. After the press conference, the 20th Century Fox, Paramount, John Doerr and other investor teams convened meetings as soon as possible to discuss countermeasures. The easiest is of course Weta Digital, Richard Taylor said cheerfully. Peter, we have to open a bottle of champagne tonight to celebrate. Peter Jackson hurriedly nodded and laughed. Man, you are too right. Zhu Ke Wald personally intervened in the end, indicating that he is optimistic about us. As a result, our Weta Digital is even more valuable. After speaking, the two immediately opened a bottle of champagne and drank it, regardless of other people's shocked eyes. When I bought this bottle of wine for $20,000 in 1994, I wanted to drink it more than once, but it was too expensive. But now it's different. It won't be long before we will be both multimillionaire. Richard Taylor was a little emotional after drinking a glass of wine. Jackson also sighed. At the beginning of the company's establishment, we only had one computer, and the only people were me and you. The development of Weta Digital has not been smooth sailing. Today, There are as many as 120 full-time employees in the entire company, and more than 80 temporary recruits. A large group of Hollywood giants and Wall Street people open up to 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, and even more. Until now, I have a dreamlike feeling, Jackson looked at the old man and said with a smile, I believe that after the release of Lord of the Rings, we at Weta Digital will rise rapidly even without these giants' acquisitions. However, I think being acquired is more pros and cons, whether it is Jackson or Richard, they do not exclude the company from being acquired without it. The special effects company is burning too much, they are almost unable to support the company. At 8 o'clock that evening in the hotel where Hugh stayed, he met Lachlan Murdoch, the eldest son of the Murdoch family. Before you speak, let me ask you first, did you come to see me because of your own wishes or your father's intentions? Zhu Ke said straightforwardly as soon as his voice fell. Lachlan's complexion suddenly changed. I see, your father Rupert asked you to come, so let's just say it. Zhu lay down on the back of the sofa with a grin, his whole body relaxed. Despise him? Lewin Novel no, it's because Lachlan Murdoch is not qualified to have an equal dialogue with Zhu Ke. When it comes to assets, net worth, and social influence, Zhu Ke is much stronger than Lachlan, and he's even no worse than his father Murdoch, especially in terms of personal net worth. Lachlan took a deep breath, adjusted his emotions, and said, you are right. I don't want to see you, my father insisted on letting me come. Zhu nodded. Mr. Wald, if you want to acquire Weta Digital, we at News Corporation are also optimistic. My father meant that cooperation brings both benefits, Lachlan said. Zhu Ke squinted his eyes. The so-called cooperation will benefit both refers to the joint investment of the two parties, joint acquisition of Weta Digital, and sharing of shares. Of course, who is the dominant player? This needs to be discussed separately. 2 days later, what? Can you say that again? Jonder's expression changed suddenly. Sir, just now, Wald Pictures, a subsidiary of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, and 20th Century Fox Pictures, a subsidiary of News Corporation, formally announced the joint acquisition of Weta Digital, a Wall Street person said solemnly. As soon as these words came out, the whole team was shocked instantly. A middle-aged bald-headed man said in astonishment, they are playing rogues. A middle-aged female elite gritted her teeth and said, whether it is 20th Century Fox Films or Wald Films, they are Hollywood giants. They themselves are very attractive to special effects companies like Weta Digital, but now what? They are united. This is to drive us out and clear the field directly. The combination of Wald Pictures and 20th Century Fox Pictures completely extinguished the idea of investors on Wall Street. A few more days passed. Contract, I sign, witnessed by a group of lawyers. Peter Jackson officially signed the acquisition contract on behalf of Weta Digital. Zhu smiled. It should have been so, Lachlan Murdoch. In this way, we will be close partners in the future. 20th Century Fox Pictures and Wald Pictures jointly spent $50 million to acquire 90% of Weta Digital in one fell swoop. $50 million. Don't doubt, this is the price? Richard whispered. Peter, this price is okay. We are not at a loss. Peter Jackson nodded and said solemnly, I know, but still a little unwilling. You know that the original price has climbed to $70 million, $80 million, but now? Only $50 million. We have lost a lot. The price is less than $30 million, and everyone will be emotional. However, Peter Jackson is also very helpless. 20th Century Fox Films and Wald Films. www.wuxiaspit.com. The two companies united and directly drove away a group of Wall Street investors. With the official support of New Zealand. How did Weta Digital resist? Unless Weta Digital does not want to be on the official support list, and most importantly, the two companies of 20th Century Fox Pictures and Wald Pictures, Peter Jackson can't afford to offend him even if he has Disney's support. It is of no use the strength of the giant company, Peter Jackson's small arms and legs. How to resist? Zhu looked at Peter Jackson, who looked resentful, and said in his heart, if you can't resist, just hold your nose and confess it. Capital has no emotions. The second update of was sent, and the minister continued to open the code in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 547. Capital is not emotional, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with Animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Widget, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 543, Bottled Water and Wine. New Zealand.
Christchurch International Airport, 8 o'clock in the morning. A Gulfstream G200 business jet flying from Los Angeles, USA, landed smoothly at the airport in Christchurch, New Zealand's third largest city. Alexander, director of the President's Office and chief assistant to the chairman of Jinshiguang Entertainment Group, personally came to the airport to meet CEO Victor, Mr. Victor, you are welcome to visit New Zealand again, Alexander said upon hearing this. Victor Jones smiled bitterly. To be honest, I really don't want to come over. You know, I still have a lot of things in my hands that need to be dealt with urgently. Alexander immediately became happy and said, Mr. Victor, I will help you convey your opinion, and I will surely let the boss understand your hard work. Victor waved his hand. Come on. Don't I know the temper of our boss? Well, by the way, what is he doing now? Alexander shrugged and said, since the acquisition of Weta Digital with News Corporation and the signing of a formal contract, the boss has moved from Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, to Christchurch, the third largest city. These days, the official staff of Christchurch, business people, there have been several welcome events in a row, and the boss is too tired, otherwise, it won't let you rush over without stopping. Victor nodded. Soon, the group boarded the car leaving the airport drive all the way to the hotel where Zhu stayed. Mr. Victor, this is the report on the water environment of Christchurch, and the materials we settled in the construction of the water plant. Please take a look. In the car, Alexander handed over a stack of documents to Victor. Victor took the information and quickly browsed it. 10 minutes later, he couldn't help but stunned. 50 years of water rights, is it true? Alexander nodded. You think it's incredible, too? Yes, this is the right to take water for 50 years. Victor was indeed very surprised. 50 years of water rights? Haha, in the United States, 50 years of water rights can hardly be believed to be precise. In accordance with the federal laws of the United States, including the laws and regulations currently in force in various states, the current maximum age of water withdrawal rights does not exceed 15 years. In 15 years, it will be necessary to re-sign the agreement. By then, it will be a huge financial expenditure, but, where's Zucker? He won 50 years of water rights as soon as he shot it. This is appalling. After 2003, foreign investors built a bottled water factory in New Zealand, and even if they spent as much as $1 billion, they could obtain water rights for only 20 years at most. Latecomers were crying. The good natural water environment and high water quality in Christchurch, New Zealand are definitely underestimated by the market, far exceeding all natural water environments in the United States. From the test results, it can be seen that the water in Christchurch is a typical natural mine. Alkaline water has a turbidity of less than 1, extremely clear, and contains calcium, magnesium, potassium and other minerals that are beneficial to the human body. However, Christchurch people use this water every day for cooking, washing, bathing, flushing toilets, Alexander said slowly. Victor immediately sneered and said, such good water is so wasted by the locals. New Zealand's local official government is also wasteful. If I were an official, the boss would offer a price of $1.5 billion. I would not agree to it. Haha, Alexander smiled, so we deserve our boss to make a fortune. Upon hearing this, Victor also smiled. The water environment in Christchurch is so good and the quality of the water is so high. As long as after some market hype, then the newly invested bottled water factory will definitely make money, and it will make a lot of money not long after. Victor and Alexander successfully arrived at the hotel where Zhu stayed. Listened to Zucker's instructions. Romance novel network instruction. Zhu Ke waved his hand and said, I don't have any instructions. If professional people do professional things, I don't do much interference. Your task is to complete the personnel construction and equipment procurement of the water plant as soon as possible, and put it into operation as quickly as possible. Victor nodded and wrote Zucker's words on a notebook. After a pause, Victor asked, Boss, do you have any specific requirements for the naming, sales specifications, and prices of the bottled water you sell, including the main sales markets in the future? Contemplation. A few seconds later, Zhu said, Pasha. It's called Pasha. I hope it will be as high-end as my Pasha hotel in the future. In this connection, the name of the bottled water invested and constructed by Zhu Ke in Christchurch was determined. Pasha, the bottled water is called Pasha, and the hotel is called Pasha. Everything is to pay tribute to Zhu's mother in this life. As for the specifications and prices of Pasha bottled water in the future, Zhu Ke has not directly said it. After all, this requires sufficient market research. 2 days later, Zhu
Victor and Alexander and his party left Christchurch. We went to the Hawke's Bay area on the east coast of New Zealand's North Island. The Hawke's Bay area has a climate that resembles the Mediterranean climate and a superior natural environment. It is the most well-known bay area for the richest people in the world. It is connected with the United States, Long Island, Beverly Hills, Australia, Sydney Deepwater Bay, Melbourne Victoria Harbour, Brisbane Bay Area, Daishanshio Zhangjiang, Repulse Bay, Japan, Tokyo Bay. It is also known as the 9 major bay areas in the world. Villas or high-end residences built on the water in such a pan-ecological environment, abandon the noise and chaos, return to the true nature of nature and the tranquility of the soul, and can better reflect the harmonious symbiosis between man and nature. It is also modern, the high-end living concept pursued by people, of course. In addition to being a world-renowned wealthy area, the Hawke's Bay area is also famous for its food, wine, pleasant climate and lifestyle, especially wine, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Riesling. These wine brands are very popular products in various countries and markets around the world. I want to build a wine estate here, Zucker said aloud. Standing on a steep hillside below are the cliffs and the sea. The breeze blows, making you feel comfortable. The cliff on which Zhu is currently standing is also one of the filming locations of the Lord of the Rings movie. Victor nodded and smiled. Boss, you have a good idea. Hawke's Bay is a famous wine-producing region in New Zealand. Although it is not as good as the French Cognac region, it is also quite good. It is very conducive to the growth of grapes. The manor is profitable but not lost, Alexander immediately said. The natural water environment here is also quite good. Even if it is not as good as Christchurch, it can still produce Pasha bottled water. Well, I mean the second-level Pasha bottled water. After all, the high-end water, the market size is completely incomparable to the market size of civilian prices. It is foreseeable that www.wuxiaspit.com you will make a lot of money again. Regarding Zhu Ke's investment in New Zealand, Victor and Alexander both raised their hands in support, although it was aimed at Weta Digital at the beginning. But now it seems that the future of bottled water and wine has a much higher ceiling than the special effects company Weta Digital. I have to say that the $500 million investment is really worth it. Zhu Ke is very sure that this investment will bring him extremely rich returns in the future. Movies make money, haha. Sometimes it really can't keep up with the drinking water and alcohol industries. The third update of Ascent, one chapter is still missing, and it will be added tomorrow. In the follow-up, the minister will add a few more chapters to compensate everyone in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 548, Bottled Water and Wine, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wetchet, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 544, Spider-Man Lion Big Mouth. The Pasha Bottled Water Project and the Wine Estate Project. These two projects actually belong to Zhu Ke's personal industry, rather than projects under the Jinshu Guang Entertainment Group. As the CEO of Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, Victor Jones does not participate in Zhu's projects in other industries in principle, but who makes Zhu available to no one. Up to now, Zhu Ke's private think tank has only 5 members. They are personal lawyer representative Zhang Wei, financial advisor Anna Josephine, Ig Mosinski in charge of banking, Ms. Osade in charge of Seattle Science and Technology Park, and the young man in charge of maintaining the overall planning of various industries under Zucker. Baggio lists only these 5 people. With the expansion of Zhu Ke's various industries and the increase in the number of industries involved, the original 5-member think tank is now not enough. No way. I can only entrust CEO Victor to top it. Boss, I suggest you expand the number of your private think tank as soon as possible. Victor said. Zhu Ke sighed and said, I don't know, but you also know that the most important thing in the selection of think tank members is Nink Wulan. Victor nodded and suddenly said, I'll give you a suggestion. You may be able to look at the Far East market. In recent years, the economy of the Great China, Japan, and South Korea has developed rapidly, and a large number of them have emerged. Outstanding strategic talents, especially in the Great Xianchao market. Can't say you can find very suitable people. Far East? Suddenly, Zhu Ke was excited and happily said, you are right, maybe I will go to the Great Heavenly Dynasty as soon as possible. Others don't know. Can Zhu Ke still know the development potential of the Great Heavenly Dynasty market? In a blink of an eye, the time has come to the evening. Zhu, Victor, And Alexander returned to Zhuke's private estate. That's right, it's a private estate, a huge manor with an area of about 35 acres. Don't say that this manor is very large, but in fact it is in New Zealand, which is vast and sparsely populated. Not to mention that there are 35 acres of manor everywhere. If it wasn't for Zhuke that he didn't like the bigger ones, then according to Zhuke's current strength and social status, buying a small island in New Zealand is very easy. A few days later Zhuke intends to return to Los Angeles. Before leaving, Victor briefly reported to Zhu Ke, the location of the Pasha bottled water factory has been initially determined. In the town of Mitchell and Christchurch, environmentalists and geologists from the University of Los Angeles have begun the second inspection of the water environment. At the same time, the Pasha bottled in the recruitment of the president and management team of the water plant. I have entrusted a number of headhunting companies to select elite talents from all over the world, Victor said. The voice failed. Zhu Ke asked, the number of local workers in New Zealand should be at least 89%, and the number of personnel should not be less than 8,000. I know. As for the reason, Victor didn't ask much. Think about it and know that if Zucker can win 50 years of water rights at one time, there are bound to be many hidden terms with the local government of New Zealand. Among them are the clauses to solve the employment problem. In the following time, Victor continued to report to Zhu Ke one after another. Zhu Ke nodded frequently. I understand the general situation, Zhuke said. Alexander, I will leave it to you. I believe he will be a good assistant. The next day at 5 o'clock in the morning, Zhuke flew out of Christchurch by private jet, the Lola, and turned around to Los Angeles. Is New Zealand's affairs over? Of course not. Whether it is the special effects company Weta Digital, the Pasha Bottle Transfer Project, or the wine estate in Hawke's Bay area, there are actually many follow-up matters that need to be dealt with, but it does not require Zhuke to come forward in person. What is it for raising so many people under your hands? If Zhu Ke did everything by himself, then Zhu Ke would not be able to solve the problem even if he was exhausted. Moreover, there is a saying that in the handling of a single job, many people are much better than the half-hearted Zhu Ke. Just listen to the book. In the afternoon of the same day, Zhu Ke successfully arrived in Los Angeles. After getting off the plane, Zhuke went to Wald Pictures for the first time. Boss, so Weta Digital, will we be a subsidiary of Wald Pictures from now on? Kevin Fitch said. Zhu Ke said, it can be said that, after all, we occupy 51% of the equity of Weta Digital. Weta Digital, Golden Dawn Entertainment Company, holds 51% of the shares. Secondly, News Corporation holds 39% of the shares. Third, the founder team such as Peter Jackson and Richard Taylor accounted for 10% of the shares. Zhu Ke said, Kevin, you have to understand one thing. As far as I am concerned, I am quite optimistic about the future of Weta Digital. Understood, boss. What you mean is that the future special effects work of Wald Pictures, especially those difficult special effects work, will be completed by Weta Digital. A wise person is a wise person, and it makes sense. Obviously, Kevin Fitch is a smart man, otherwise he would not become the boss of Marvel Studios in the original time and space. At this moment, a knock on the door sounded. The person who came in was Gavin O'Connor, the deputy director of the company's production department. Mr. Fitch, boss, are you coming back from New Zealand? O'Connor looked at Zhu Ke and was immediately stunned. Zhuke waved his hand. You say yours, and I just listen. O'Connor nodded and turned to Kevin Fitch and said, the script for Spider-Man 2 has been finalized. The problem now is Tobey Maguire, who plays the actor Peter Parker. He wants the pay has risen, increase in salary. Upon hearing this word, Kevin Fitch frowned. The same is true for Zhuke. Of course, the production company hopes that the actor's pay is as low as possible. Otherwise, how to make the most profit? Kevin asked in a deep voice. Tobey Maguire's agent is Juan Wiggins, right? How much does he want? Juan Wiggins, a well-known agent, is notoriously difficult to deal with and a headache for many production companies. $12 million. In addition, there is a 5% North American box office share. Ho Kang-no said heavily, it's dark enough. When Tobey Maguire starred in Spider-Man 1, the pay was only $1.5 million. Now the movie is very popular, and the pay is $12 million directly. The most important thing is that he actually hit the box office. Divided. At this moment, Kevin Fitch was extremely annoyed, especially the 5% box office share, which is simply cutting meat. The North American box office of Spider-Man 1 is close to $400 million. When converted, 5% of the North American box office share is close to $20 million.
plus $12 million in actor pay hiss. Once calculated, the cost of Tobey Maguire's appearance in Spider-Man 2 completely exceeded $30 million. This is a terrifying rhythm. The production company www.wooksiaspit.com aims at low cost and high profit, requiring artists with low pay and high ability. Brokerage company, the goal is high remuneration for artists. The two goals run counter to each other, and there are separate positions. It is impossible to reach an agreement without a long period of negotiation and compromise. This is why the vast majority of Hollywood production companies are purely production companies and do not involve artist management. Even the Jade Bird agency under Zhu Ke, at best, only exists to meet the needs of TV movies, rather than a dedicated artist agency. The water here is deep, deep. The first update is sent in order to facilitate the next reading. You can click on the favorites below to record the reading record of this time. Chapter 549 Spider-Man and Lion, and you can see it next time you open the bookshelf. If you like Hollywood Begins with animation, please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, Wetchet, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 545, Gone. Gone. The cost of Tobey Maguire's appearance in Spider-Man 1 was $1.5 million. However, due to the big movie release, Wald Pictures, the production company, added another $4 million in the follow-up period. Reward medal, $5.5 million. This is the total compensation for Tobey Maguire's appearance in Spider-Man 1. Now that the filming of the movie Spider-Man 2 is about to start, the protagonist's request for an increase in salary is based on the consideration of Zhu and others. In a word, it makes sense. After all, as a Hollywood sequel movie, it has always been faced with a situation where the cost of actors has risen sharply. Of course, the director will also increase the salary, but the Lion's open-mouth behavior made it difficult for Kevin Feige and others to accept it. $12 million in remuneration plus 5% North American box office share. Keep in mind that it is 5% of the North American box office share, not the North American box office net profit share after deducting theater operator fees, distributor fees, movie taxation. The rest is the net profit at the North American box office between the two. The difference in amount of money disappeared. Kevin Feige said in a deep voice, "Gavin, you tell Tobey Maguire and his agent Juan Wiggins that we can agree to the $12 million actor's pay, but 5% of the North American box office is shared. We will never agree, do not. To be precise, even the North American box office net profit sharing, they don't think about it, give up. It is understandable that the production company must ensure its own profitability." "Okay, I see, I'll go talk," Gavin O'Connor replied and left quickly. As for Tobey Maguire and his agent Juan Wiggins, will they agree? 3 words hard to say. Of course, there is a very high probability that the two sides are in a drag period, and there is no time for 1 or 2 months, and there is no need to negotiate. "Boss, look at this." Kevin Feige looked at Zhu and stopped talking. Zhu shrugged and smiled. "Don't look at me, you are the president of Wald Pictures." Upon hearing this, Kevin Feige took a deep breath and said heavily, "I understand. Everything counts on Zhu to make the final decision. So what do you want Kevin Feige to do? He is the president of Wald Pictures, not just a tool man. Otherwise, why should the company give it a high annual salary?" Zhu Ke thought for a while and couldn't help but reminded. "The sequel movie series we will develop in the future will not be less, so you must pay more attention to the payment of sequel movies. Well, when necessary, you can solve it through book means." "Book means? Boss, you mean?" However, before Kevin Feige was finished speaking, Zhu interrupted him. "What? I don't know anything." Zhu played with a taste. What is meant by book means is nothing more than thinking of making losses in the Harry Potter movie series. Every movie has a big box office, and it is madly racing around the world. However, on the book, it is also a loss, and it is a huge loss, as long as Hollywood production companies are willing, regardless of whether you are an insider or someone outside the industry. It's totally cheating. You didn't discuss it. To be honest, there are not a few movies developed by Wald Pictures: Fatal Turn, Human Removal Project, Spartan 300 Warriors, Reaper is Coming. These are currently well-known series of Hollywood horror and thriller themes, but take a look at Spider-Man and Harry Potter. They are the real series of movies. The first thing is that the actors cannot be changed, and you must add money to them for subsequent movies, including the upcoming movie Fast and Furious by Wald Pictures, and the just-appointed Sakurai, which are also series of movies. Tisk Tut. Zhu Ke couldn't help sighing. "Kevin, in the future, the sequel movie will be opened. I think you will see this situation where the lion speaks loudly." Kevin Feige nodded.
That's why I have a headache. Thanks to the filming of Spider-Man 1, Wald Pictures signed a trilogy contract with Tobey Maguire instead of a single Spider-Man 1 movie. The maximum remuneration was clearly stated, otherwise, his asking price will be higher now. In the original time and space, Columbia suffered this big loss. The movie Spider-Man 1, Tobey Maguire made a profit of $8 million. In the movie Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire's remuneration alone surged to $17 million, including a certain box office share. The movie Spider-Man 3, that's even more exaggerated. In Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire, the actor's salary plus box office share alone, exceeded $45 million in one fell swoop, and even the subsequent copyright income was also involved in the sharing, which was at least another $20 million in expenditure. Terrible. Thanks to Columbia, I still have a bit of brains. I didn't start filming Spider-Man 4. Otherwise, the money would be made by the actors. Zhu Ke couldn't help but secretly said in his heart, high pay, ask for a box office share, ask for subsequent copyright revenue share. This is a problem that the production company has to face when developing a sequel series of films. The Iron Man of the movie Avengers 4, why does Marvel have to write it? Ed, have no idea. Marvel can't afford Donnie's pay. If you don't write you to death, then who will you write to death? Okay, Kevin, I'll leave first. The actor contract of Spider-Man. I only pay attention to the final result. Zhu Ke waved his hand and wanted to leave. Yes, boss. Kevin Fitch replied, the actor's pay issue does not require Zhu Ke to participate. So there was a time when Wald Pictures was just established. In the face of these problems, Zhu Ke personally went into battle, but now he doesn't need it anymore. A large number of elite soldiers will take care of everything. Zhu does not need to know the process, nor is he interested in knowing www.uxiaspit.com somewhere in Los Angeles. Tobey, good news. The agent Juan Wiggins ran into the villa excitedly and said excitedly, men, Spider-Man 2 is about to start shooting, and the news has spread throughout the United States. No, the news has just come out. Mercedes, Rolex, etc. So many high-quality endorsements have been found, and the asking price is not low. Oh, really? It seems that my sports car needs another Mercedes. Tobey Maguire is also very excited to be able to obtain the boutique endorsements of big brands. Endorsement contracts are undoubtedly a topic of great concern to artists and agents. Before Spider-Man 1 was released, Tobey Maguire as an actor was only a small celebrity at the time, and he had only 3 endorsement contracts. The highest endorsement is the endorsement of a clothing brand, which is only $200,000 a year, but after the release of Spider-Man, he is directly popular all over the world. In less than a year, Tobey Maguire has no less than 20 endorsements, and the lowest endorsement amount is no less than $1.2 million. He made crazy. Tobey Maguire said suddenly, Juan, how did you talk to Wald Pictures? Upon hearing this, Juan Wiggins smiled and said, what else? Of course they don't want to share the box office share, but we must be harder, and we can't compromise easily. Of course, Tobey Maguire raised his chin and believed, I am a good neighbor, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. As long as they want to make money from Spider-Man, then they must give me the reward they deserve, otherwise I'm good. The neighbor will not agree. He is fighting against Wald Pictures. The second update of was sent, and the minister continued to open the code. Chapter 546, Tomb Raider Celebration Banquet. Sam Raimi, the director of the film Spider-Man 1, also proposed an increase in the director's pay for the film Spider-Man 2. You said, didn't you sign a trilogy contract? Haha. Faced with the explosive Spider-Man series of movies, even if you sign a trilogy contract, you have a clear statement about the pay. Sometimes it's not good. The price increase of film remuneration is inevitable. Director Sam Raimi, from a horror film director, took over the $140 million production cost of the sci-fi blockbuster Spider-Man, entirely relying on Zhu Ke's appreciation. To put it bluntly, without Zhu Ke's appointment, there are still 2 things to say about whether he can be the director of Spider-Man. Zhu Ke is completely Sam Raimi's benefactor. And he is kind to him after all. Business is business. No, when the Spider-Man 2 project was established, Sam Raimi demanded a high salary, and he did not have the slightest bit of mercy. The director's salary is $6 million. He did not propose the sky-high director's remuneration, nor did he propose the box office share and copyright share. 2 words sensible. Sam, why don't you mention the box office share? Don't forget, you are the director of Spider-Man 1, the agent questioned. Sam Raimi spread his hands and smiled. If you ask for a box office share, will Wald Pictures definitely give it? Who knows if you don't try it? The agent was very unwilling. He had just learned that Tobey Maguire's agent had offered to the producer Wald Pictures a high-priced remuneration. Sam Raimi solemnly said, "Aside from Mr. Wald's knowledge, I will ask for a box office share before shooting Spider-Man 2. Is it appropriate? How do you make other Hollywood studios look at it?" Broker, in the Hollywood entertainment industry, sometimes being too greedy is definitely not a good thing. Think of the Spider-Man actor Tobey Maguire in the original time and space. The popularity of the Spider-Man trilogy did make Tobey Maguire gain enough popularity and money, but after leaving Peter Parker's aura, he was cold, and he had no good resources at all. Find him, even if he takes the initiative, others will not take him to play, then we just give it a try, won't it work? The agent was still a little unwilling. Sam Raimi suddenly shook his head and said, "It's useless to try, and it's just that the two parties are unhappy. However, I believe that when Spider-Man 3 is filmed again, even if we don't mention it, Wald Pictures will do it. Here is a box office share contract. Remember, look farther." The voice fell. The agent nodded, mulling. Sam Raimi was really upset when he saw his agent's unbearable performance. "It seems that I have to change to an agent as soon as possible. He can't keep up with me anymore." His current agent is a few years ago. Sam Raimi is still in the fledgling stage, but now, at the same time starring in the Spider-Man 1 heroine star Kirsten Dunst, the Little Green Devil James Franco and other major actors, are also asking for higher pay. However, their demand for remuneration is within the acceptance range of Wald Pictures' reasonable. Kirsten Dunst said, "Spider-Man 2 requires a box office share, which is absolutely a stupid thing. Looking at the history of Wald Pictures, so far, they have never given any actors a box office. Divided. Tisk tisk, I think Tobey Maguire, he is floating." Snapped. 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 Agent Colin immediately took the shot and applauded, saying, "Our Kirsten is still smart. He didn't want to think about Tobey Maguire. He lost the aura of Spider-Man. What else does he have? He really treats Wald Pictures as a persimmon, and he will regret it sooner or later." Colin is also a veteran agent. He has been paying attention to Wald Pictures a long time ago, and he knows how terrifying the potential of Wald Pictures. He continued, "Wald Pictures alone holding dozens of Marvel superhero copyrights is worth sacrificing the present in exchange for a better future." In contrast, Tobey Maguire and his agent Juan Wiggins are much more greedy. Of course, no matter how the crew members ask for higher pay, Zhu Ke is not very concerned now. Zhu believes that Kevin Feige and others will do all this, and do everything at a relatively reasonable price. If not, then Zhu will definitely be cruel. "Don't mind. Change the entire management of Wald Pictures. There is never a shortage of people who have the ability, have no chance, and want to be in position." June 20th, under the planning of a group of stylists, Zhu Ke dressed up carefully and was invited to attend the celebration banquet of Tomb Raider. The film Tomb Raider was jointly produced by Paramount Pictures and Wald Pictures, among which Zhu himself served as the producer. The movie was released for 47 days and earned $140 million at the North American box office. The overseas box office has also exceeded $190 million up to now. The global box office has exceeded $330 million compared with its $80 million production cost. Paramount and Wald Pictures have made a profit. You reading www.can'tyoukome. The film is still being released in overseas countries and regions, and continues to be squeezed. It is foreseeable that the box office will increase further in the future. The sequel of Tomb Raider is launched, there is no doubt about it. This is what Paramount President Shirley Lansing said in a recent interview with the media. But the sequel to Tomb Raider is launched, and Paramount has no plans to continue playing with Zhu. That's right, the sequel movie kicked Zhu out of the game. Zhu is not angry. After all, the copyright is held in Paramount's hands. With empathy, this is a very reasonable thing, and there is no need to be angry. "Hi, Zhu." Paramount's vice president and old friend Jordan gave Zhu Ke a big hug as soon as he came. Jordan curled his lips and said, "Man, you made me lose a big face on the Weta Digital project in New Zealand." Zhu Ke squinted his eyes, and said with a smile, "You stingy yourself and don't want to pay high prices. Does this blame me?" In the case of Weta Digital's acquisition, Paramount's offer was the lowest in comparison with a group of investors, and it is no wonder that it will fail. Jordan smirked. "Well, today is the celebration of Tomb Raider, we won't mention the unhappy things." Upon hearing this, Zhu Ke said, "Then why don't you mention Tomb Raider 2? Why didn't you say that you kicked me out?" Jordan was speechless after losing the opportunity to participate in Tomb Raider 2. Zhu Ke is not angry, but if you don't pretend, Others think you are a bully. Hey, why is he here too? Suddenly, Zhu Ke found a familiar figure among the guests at the meeting, and it was Tobey Maguire who asked for a high salary. The third update is sent. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 547, Spider-Man with Terrible Wine. At the celebration banquet of the film Tomb Raider, Zhu saw Tobey Maguire, and Tobey also saw Zhu similarly. The guests around the meeting also noticed for a while. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit weird. Huh? What are they doing? The question was a young man dressed very fancy, and judging from his appearance, he was at most an 18-year-old boy at the moment. A middle-aged man explained in a low voice, David, you are still young and have not entered the entertainment industry, so you are not sure. In the near future, relying on the Spider-Man movie is popular all over the world. Quill, now with Wald Pictures about the Spider-Man 2 actors' pay, it is very unhappy, and the whole industry is going crazy. Hearing this, the young man sneered and said, it turned out to be the problem of increasing the salary. I thought it was a big deal. In my opinion, problems that can be solved with money are not problems. Middle-aged, the boy smiled and asked, Maguire is a famous Spider-Man at any rate. Isn't it reasonable to ask for a higher salary? After a pause, he asked, by the way, how much does he offer? The middle-aged man was taken aback, and tentatively said, are you going to find Maguire to make a movie? Of course, the teenager blurted out confidently, my father promised me that as soon as I graduated from college, he would immediately give me $200 million in funding. You know, I am very interested in Hollywood. The middle-aged man was speechless and full of jealousy. $200 million? How much money does the father pay for his son to buy toys? Tisk tut, the rich second generation is different. Middle-aged people can be jealous. Who makes the young man in front of him named David Ellison, the son of IT giant Larry Ellison and the dignified Prince of Oracle? He certainly has this confidence. David Ellison continued to sneer and said, that fellow Zhu Ke Wald is so rich. He is so rich. He is richer than my father, and he is so stingy. Isn't it because the actor wants to increase his salary? As for being so pretentious, if I were the owner of Wald Pictures, Maguire's pay for Spider-Man 2 would be $10 million. I wouldn't hesitate. Zhu Ke Wald, a petty man. In fact, the Prince of Oracle called Zhu Ke's disdain. The middle-aged man curled his lips. It is said that Maguire's offer is $12 million plus 5% of the North American box office share, not a mere $10 million. David Ellison, he is autistic. Although he is a rich second generation who does not treat money as money, he also understands at this moment that Tobey Maguire speaks loudly and regards Wald Pictures as a soft persimmon as far as Hollywood in 2001 is concerned. 20 million club members are treated only by the top superstars. Are you Tobey Maguire at Harry, with a corner of Spider-Man, dare to openly squeeze the wool of Wald Pictures? Who gives you the courage? David Ellison said quietly. This kind of actor won't last long. The middle-aged man immediately agreed. That's right. The six powers in Hollywood have a very ordinary sense of Maguire. At this moment, Tobey Maguire, who wanted to greet Zhu the first time, also felt the same look at the scene. A cast of gaze. There is contempt, envy, and admiration. There are so many different things at the moment. He dispelled the thought of talking. Zhu didn't intend to chat with him, and simply ignored him. A few hours later, when the celebration banquet of Tomb Raider was about to end, Tobey Maguire just came to Zhu, and because he was popular, he was persuaded to drink a lot tonight, and his current state is drunkish. Mr. Wald, it's very nice to see you again. I think you are also very happy to see me again. I'm Spider-Man Peter Parker. It can be seen that even if Tobey Maguire drank a lot of alcohol, he was still in a highly excited state. Zhu frowned and said in a flat tone, Tobey, good evening. We'll talk about it later. I'm almost over here. Zhu was a little upset. You must know that Zhu Ke is discussing some important cooperation matters with Paramount CEO Shirley Lansing at this moment. What is it that Tobey Maguire is drunk and fainted? Hey, I said, Mr. Wald, that's not interesting enough for you. You said, how much money did I make for you when I starred in the Spider-Man movie? The global box office alone was $900 million, and the sales of DVDs broke the sales record in the offline market. You said, I'm not serious. Great, come, accompany me to have a glass of wine first. Give me some face. Tobey Maguire forced to talk and kept talking, looking at Zhu. His face was completely cold. "You drank too much, it's time to go back and rest. Your agent Juan Wiggins is too irresponsible, why didn't he take you back?" The image of an artist is very important. At the important moment when the Spider-Man 2 movie is about to be established, the starring image is particularly important. There must be no large-scale negative news, which will affect the box office after the movie is released on the eve of the movie Twilight Saga 3. As the heroine of the film, Kristen Stewart www.wooksiaspit.com is a lot of negative news. If there is no production company to wipe her and control public opinion, it may be possible that the movie box office will have as much influence in the original time and space. Tobey Maguire also stabbed a lot of baskets, and it was the production companies and distribution companies that worked hard to resist negative news. Nima, let me go too far. Hollywood male and female stars almost all have this problem, Ms. Shirley. I'm sorry to make you laugh. Zhu Ke glanced apologetically at the Paramount CEO beside him. Shirley Lansing smiled. It's okay. Zhu turned around and glanced at Tobey Maguire coldly, and said solemnly, Jonathan, when Tobey goes down, arrange a hotel for him. Yes, boss. Jonathan was a powerful bodyguard next to Zhu, and he was about to leave with Tobey Maguire, but he was pushed away. I'm not drunk, Mr. Wald. I'm just asking you to have a drink. Are you so shameless? Don't forget, I have made a lot of money for you. Also, when the Spider-Man 2 project was established, is it wrong to ask you more money? Spider-Man 1 made you so much money, so Spider-Man 2 made me make a little more money, which is very reasonable. I remind you that I am the Peter Parker recognized by everyone as Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire's wines are terrible and he is a gambler. In 2007, at the celebration banquet of Spider-Man 3, he drank too much. Because of the poor taste of the wine, he also started with the director Sam Raimi. Because of a glass of wine, the media reporters at the time were very happy. After all, this was big news. The first update is sent. Chapter 548, Tobey Maguire panicked. The next day in the morning, 9 o'clock, Kevin Feige, the president of Wald Pictures, suddenly received Zucker's instructions and opened a press conference urgently. Today, the company has solemnly decided to postpone the establishment of the Spider-Man 2 movie. As soon as the news came out, the entire entertainment industry was immediately shaken. Man, this is the movie Spider-Man. You should know that when Spider-Man 1 was released, its box office exceeded $100 million in the first 3 days of the weekend, setting an amazing historical record. The North American box office was nearly $400 million. The global box office is nearly $900 million. The offline DVD and videotape sales and rental markets have also set a series of records. Nearly a year since the movie was released, Wald Pictures has relied on the power of its parent company, Golden Dawn Entertainment Group, and has been madly smashing the city in terms of copyright income such as peripheral licensing and TV platform broadcasting. In less than a year, it has brought at least $450 million in profits for Wald Pictures. Undoubtedly, Spider-Man is a big IP half circle, and it is the copyright that countless film companies covet. But what about now? They didn't even start the Spider-Man 2 project right away. Oh my god, what is the film industry in my ears doing? That's right, when the Spider-Man 1 inches DVD was on sale a few days ago, Wald Pictures announced that it would start filming Spider-Man 2. Tusk. It's a shame that Wald Pictures is not a listed company, otherwise its stock price will surely fall by a few points just based on this bouncing move. Many media reporters at the scene were stunned at the same time. They did not understand the mysterious operation of Wald Pictures. What are you thinking about if you don't make any money? My colleagues in Hollywood know that as long as Spider-Man 2 is not too bad, it is bound to make a lot of money. Therefore, they are now very unclear about why Wald Pictures postponed the shooting of Spider-Man 2. Not very understanding. Andre, the editor-in-chief of the Los Angeles Entertainment News, who has always had a good relationship with Wald Pictures, also questioned. A few days ago, I also received news that Wald Pictures has already dealt with the removal of the actor Tobey. Everyone except Maguire's contract can be seen by discerning people, and the shooting of Spider-Man 2 is imminent, but it's postponed now, and it's not on a regular basis. It's not because of Tobey Maguire. Andre frowned. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that he was close to the truth for a time. Endless doubts in everyone's hearts flooded to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige said, "Don't be surprised, you guys. I can tell you clearly the reason why the film was postponed and filming started. The script for Spider-Man 2 has been compiled, and there have been 37 trial drafts, but we are not very satisfied. In order not to disappoint the majority of movie fans, we must do our best to present the best to everyone, so we can only postpone the shooting at the moment. A reasonable answer, however, if you ask the media reporters on the scene, will they believe it? Let's lie to the ghost. I don't believe a word anyway. Michelle, the Los Angeles correspondent of the New York Post, shook his head disdainfully. The reporters at the scene questioned them one by one, and Kevin Fitch answered one by one, but it was absolutely nonsense. There was nothing practical. Shortly after, the media reporters who left the press conference published articles one after another who make Spider-Man amazing. The Boston Entertainment News published an article, due to script problems. The production company Wald Pictures announced today that the production of Spider-Man 2 was postponed. The West Coast Youth Daily posted, the postponement of Spider-Man 2 undoubtedly disappoints the majority of movie fans. After all, this means that everyone wants to see it quickly and needs to wait a while. California Entertainment News, Los Angeles Entertainment News, Times Entertainment Edition and other media newspapers also published articles soon after. Movie websites and forums related to the United States have also attracted crazy discussions among a large number of movie fans. However, these are fairly satisfactory reports. Conspiracy theory. In order to gain attention, the vast majority of media have chosen a conspiracy theory and truth emperor perspective to report the news of the postponement of Spider-Man 2. After all, the old and beautiful people who breathe the sweet air just like the taste of conspiracy theories. CJ Pioneer Entertainment News published an article saying, Spider-Man 2 stopped filming? Is it because Zhu Ke Wald has no money and is going to go bankrupt? No. We might as well speculate that Mr. Zhu Ke Wald it's not about selling Wald Pictures under his name. After all American citizens know that the film and television project is just a very small existence under the name of Zhu Ke Wald. Sell Wald Pictures. Such disabling remarks, logically speaking, not many people will believe it, but there are so many low-educated people in the United States, and there are a large number of people who believe Zhu Ke's remarks about selling the company. When Zhu knew www.wooksiaspit.com, he couldn't help crying and laughing. The old and beautiful people are indeed lovely enough. Many of them are almost incapable of distinguishing right from wrong. Basically, they believe what others say one by one is very deceiving. Well, in other words, they are easily guided by public opinion. Of course, during the reporting process, some media boldly wrote down the question whether it is because of the actor Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire's open offer of sky-high pay. Is it the main reason that Spider-Man 2 was forced to stop production? Is the signing of the actor contract trilogy just a piece of waste paper, not legally binding at all? An article with a taste of conspiracy theory, under the guidance of a caring person, constantly attacked Tobey Maguire himself. Greedy, arrogant, evil. One by one, the negative names were given to Tobey Maguire. Don't doubt what the caring person is talking about is Jin Shuguang Entertainment Group. Zhu Ke is angry. Of course he wants to. Without the Spider-Man series of movies, Zhu Ke can also develop other movies. Harry Potter series, Pirates of the Caribbean series, Fast and Furious series. What's the difference? In a word, without the Spider-Man series of movies, Wald Pictures is still the existence of that industry giant. However, Tobey Maguire, who has lost the aura of Peter Parker, is nothing, really. Wald Pictures is a soft persimmon. Let it be your choice. Under the overwhelming news, Tobey Maguire panicked, and his agent Juan Wiggins was also panicked after losing the honor of Spider-Man and annoyed Zhu Ke. Of course they were terrified. The second update is sent. Chapter 549, Little Plum comes to the door. Calm, don't panic. The media is frantically targeting us, but we can't mess around. You must know that you are the most famous Spider-Man in the United States. I will contact the company now and let them suppress public opinion. Tobey Maguire's agent, Juan Wiggins, was panicked, but after all he was a man who had been on the battlefield and was accustomed to big winds and waves. After a short period of time, he calmed down. Behind Juan Wiggins's CAA, one of the top 5 brokerage giants, Agent Juan Shen said, Tobey, you are one of the company's most important contracted artists. The company will definitely be on your side. Hearing this, Tobey Maguire breathed a sigh of relief. The call was made soon. Mr. Rich, this is Juan Wiggins. I need your help now. After some explanation, the CAA executive on the other end of the phone, Richie, agreed to help. As Juan said, CAA is very fond of Tobey Maguire. After all, if the artist has a problem, the interests of the agency will also be harmed. As a national brokerage company, CAA is far less powerful and influential than in the 1990s, but it is still very powerful in controlling some public opinion. No, The negative news was suppressed in just half a day. News media newspapers, the ones that should be withdrawn, the reports on the internet that should be deleted have been deleted, invite gossip magazines one after another, exposing negative news about celebrities from other companies in an attempt to divert the main force. The means are endless. CAA is still very powerful, otherwise it will not be able to attract a large number of star artists to join. Ding ding ding. The phone rang. The agent one glanced at Tobey Maguire sitting on the sofa, and said, "It's Mr. Rich's call." Maguire nodded, saying yes. Connected to the phone. "Juan, the company has suppressed the news, you can tell Toby." A voice came from the other end of the phone. "Thank you." Immediately the agent one was overjoyed and said, "Thank you Mr. Rich, and the company, otherwise the trouble will be great." Maggoton on the side also smiled. "How do you say? The matter is resolved, solve. Think too much? Do you really think that media giants are so easy to deal with?" CAA executive Richie said solemnly, "It can only be said to be a temporary solution. If Mr. Wald is determined to teach you a lesson, then the Jinshu Guanyule Group, which is operating at full speed, will be very scary. At that time, not to mention that you can't handle it, our entire CAA company also can't handle it." Boom. Life ups and downs. Seeing that the negative news was suppressed and Tobey Maguire's mood had just improved, he became depressed again. He regretted it. After losing the aura of Spider-Man, what can he be left with? Relying on his current popularity, there will be no shortage of script invitations. Even the characters are almost all male, and the prices are not low. However, the production companies that sent invitations all hope to use Tobey Maguire's popularity to earn money. The scripts, one by one, are terrible scripts, which are clearly cheating. At night. Burbank Villa. Zucker's home. "Are you really going to suspend the shooting of Spider-Man 2? Little girlfriend Lima asked curiously. Zhu Ke spread his hands and smiled. "The news has been announced. Can this be false?" "Of course it is true." Why are you asking about this?" Upon hearing this, Lima replied, "Didn't the news be announced this morning?" Then, many customers who came to my That Girl store to shop, many people asked me if I was genuine or fake. Zhu Ke laughed and said, "You just perfunced them. You just say you don't know. The filming of Spider-Man 2 is currently suspended, but when will the project be set up again? Isn't it up to me?" Pause. The filming of Spider-Man 2, what a joke. This is the big IP Spider-Man, a proper money-making machine. Where Zhu Ke really willing to pause? It was nothing more than a beating Tobey Maguire. In addition, Wald Pictures encountered the situation where the lion opened his mouth for the first time in the case of shooting a sequel movie. Zhu and Wald Pictures used the topic to play, and they also meant to warn many people. Spider-Man 2 has been delayed for a year, and it has no effect on Zhu Ke. A few days later a special guest came to visit Zhu in person, Leonardo. "How did you come?" Zhu curiously asked. "That's right. The person who suddenly visited Zhu Ke was the famous Little Plum who had changed dozens of girlfriends. The two had been in contact before Titanic was released in 1997, and now, after a few years, the relationship is pretty good." "Zook, I just came to do something nearby. I thought you would live here, so I came to see you." "Why, not welcome?" Leonardo smiled. "Of course not." Zook was sure, and welcomed him into the living room with great enthusiasm. In today's position, to be honest, Leonardo does not have the qualifications to have an equal dialogue with Zhu, but Zhu never values these unless it is necessary. For some people, Zhu is happy to make friends with them. Leonardo is one of them. He is a guy with high emotional intelligence. After entering the 21st century, Hollywood stars, who are truly superstars, are only Leonardo DiCaprio. 10 minutes later, "I knew you didn't just come to see me." Zhu Ke smiled. Little Lizzie smiled and said, "You know, Toby and I have been good friends for many years. He went drunk and offended you at the celebration of the movie Tomb Raider. Of course I have to come over and apologize for him," Zhu said with a solemn expression, "but you also know that I was talking to Shirley Lansing of Paramount at the time. www.wooksiaspit.com. He just rushed over with a drunken spleen, and he was so drunk. Say, he forced me to accompany him for a drink. If I take it lightly, you say, I don't want face." Zio Lizzie smiled bitterly. "I know he did not do the right thing, and he has a lot of big talks about the pay of Spider-Man 2, especially asking for the North American box office share." At this moment, Zirk looked at Zio Lee, who was making his friends, and couldn't help but admire him a little. As we all know, Hollywood plastic friendships are everywhere, and there are many cases of favoring highs and lows. However, there are exceptions. The friendship between Zio Lizzie and Tobey Maguire is absolutely beyond doubt. The two were friends very early, When they were underage, little Plum often spends the night at Toby's house. Toby's mother said, they like to pigtail each other on the bed. The two silly little boys get tired of being together all day long. Even if someone says they are the same-sex love, they don't mind. Friends around them often ridicule them. They are obviously not the same-sex lovers, but they are dating every day. The friendship between the two really makes many plastic brothers envious. Mr. Wald, give Toby a chance. I should apologize and apologize. I will do what I should do. I promise to give you a satisfactory answer, Zio Lizzie said firmly. Zhu clapped his hands and exclaimed, just for your face, this matter will pass. I will arrange for the company to come forward as soon as possible and finalize the performance contract for Spider-Man 2 in the shortest possible time. Thank you very much. This means that Zio Lee himself came to persuade him to make peace. Otherwise, Zhu Ke would never understand the matter so easily. The first update is sent. Chapter 550, Beauty Reporter and number 039, S-Day. A few days later the weather was clear on this day, and Wald Pictures announced the news again. Spider-Man 2 officially launched. The media newspapers that learned the news were all dumbfounded. What the hell? It was announced earlier that the project and shooting of Spider-Man 2 had been postponed due to script problems. How come the project has been established in a blink of an eye? Is it possible that this is just a pure hype? Miss Avril, the editor of the Los Angeles Entertainment News, frowned and said, I thought Wald Pictures would be different from those coquettish bitches, but now it seems that it is the same as other Hollywood film companies, and they all like hype. Cough cough cough. Suddenly, there was a soft cough around the editor-in-chief. Andre said with a grim face, if you don't do a good job, what are you doing here? Sorry, editor-in-chief. When faced with a boss's question, of course, first admit your mistakes and don't find excuses to explain. This is one of the rules of survival in the workplace. Andre looked around and entered his office. The editor Avril Lavigne couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and whispered, the editor is really like a ghost. He came behind me, and I didn't notice it at all. A young guy next to him couldn't help laughing. Avril Lavigne, fortunately, you admit your mistake quickly enough, otherwise you will criticize Wald Pictures for this, and the editor will be able to fire you. No, it's so serious. Avril Lavigne's eyes widened in disbelief. The young guy curled his lips and said, what did you say? Don't forget that Wald Pictures is our Los Angeles Entertainment News big benefactor and of wealth. The company's revenue for the entire year last year reached more than $20 million. It is said that more than $13 million of this came from Wald Pictures, or a company under the Golden Dawn Entertainment Group. Think about it now, if you offend the big gold master Wald Pictures, will the editor fire you? Avril did not speak anymore, and she did not dare to speak anymore. The bottom line of ethics and ethics of media people can never compare to the green dollar. What's more, the Los Angeles Entertainment is only an entertainment media, not a political or economic media. 10 o'clock in the morning. Andre, the editor-in-chief of the Los Angeles Entertainment News, walked out of the independent office with a look of joy to the public office area. Bang bang bang. The clapping sound rang. Come here, everyone. I am going to announce a good news now. With a loud shout from the editor-in-chief Andre, the employees in the public office area put down their work and focused their attention on him. Just now I received the news that the films Tomb Raider, District 9, Shark Beach and other films produced by Wald Pictures in the first half of this year have all achieved excellent market box office. Its profit in the first half of the year was as high as $350 million, an increase of 15% compared to last year. Therefore, I will give you a task now. Be sure to write 3 reports to me before noon. No, 5, everyone must pay attention to me. This is related to the friendship between our Los Angeles Entertainment and Wald Pictures. Even if it is a 12-point focus, it is not an exaggeration. The editor-in-chief Andre shouted loudly, and the whole person looked like he was beaten up, very excited. Yes, editor-in-chief, look at it, let alone 5 reports. I can write 6 or 7 copies by myself. No. I will always respond to the editor's call. I will write now. I have been paying attention to Wald Pictures. I am familiar with it. The employees in the public office area were very excited one by one, and soon rushed to get busy. Miss Avril, a female reporter who had just entered the newspaper office, stared at the scene before her stunned. As far as this is, they just follow. Before she could finish her words, the young guy on the side couldn't help but smile. It's just like licking chicken blood. You want to say that, don't you? Avril Lavigne nodded involuntarily. The young guy said, almost 70 days ago, Chadiah in the second group wrote 9 articles in a row on the movie Shark Beach. Do you know how much bonus he got that month? I tell you, it's a full $8,000. This, so much? Avril Lavigne was stunned. Although she has just joined the Los Angeles entertainment news not long ago, she still knows the bonus situation of her colleagues. Generally speaking, a monthly bonus of $2,000 is considered good. A monthly bonus of more than $3,000 is extremely high for ordinary media reporters, and it is almost a ceiling. However, Chadiah's monthly bonus turned out to be $8,000. The young guy raised his mouth slightly and smiled. Now you should know the influence of Wald Pictures. Suddenly, Avril Lavigne nodded like garlic. Everything is driven by money. At noon, a report about Wald Pictures was born in the hands of a group of editors who had beaten the blood. The female journalist Avril Lavigne is not to be outdone, and has written several articles in a row. She graduated from the Department of Communication of Columbus University, and her writing skills are not weak. Yes, pretty good. I am very satisfied with your work efficiency. In this way, everyone has a rest. In the afternoon, I invite everyone to have coffee. The editor-in-chief Andre grinned openly. The rest time, that's how it came. The reporters, editors, and photographers of the Los Angeles entertainment news are eating out. After all, they are still hungry. The female reporter Avril Lavigne has average family conditions, but she is also particularly strong. She plans to buy a car within a year, so in consideration of saving money, she did not choose to go out to eat, but brought her own lunchbox. Ding ding ding. Just as she was dining, her phone rang. Caller: Mina, friend, classmate. You ask me if I am tired from work. Of course it's tiring. You know, although the Los Angeles entertainment is only a professional entertainment media, it has a large audience in Los Angeles, California, and even the entire West Coast. Do you think I am busy every day? Just now, in order to catch up with the manuscript, the noon break was greatly delayed. Also, I found a very strange point, that is, people in the entire company are madly teaming up with Wald Pictures, one by one, just like licking a dog. The female reporter Avril Lavigne vomited bitterly and constantly shared her experiences with her little sisters. But Mina on the other side of the phone www.wuxiaspit.com is envious. Avril Lavigne, you can make a lot of money. Don't you know how good the salary, bonuses, and benefits of the Los Angeles entertainment news are? Oh, you are so enviable, unlike me. You know how much it is in Minnesota Pit? The voice failed. The female reporter Avril seemed to understand something. Los Angeles entertainment news makes many people envy. It should be because of Wald Pictures, she muttered to herself. Time goes by in a flash. Soon, the noon break was over. The editor-in-chief Andre suddenly came to the newcomer female reporter Avril Lavigne, and said in a deep voice, Avril Lavigne, you come out with me later, remember, dress up a little. Avril Lavigne. At this moment, she was suddenly confused, and scenes of unsightly scenes even appeared in her mind. Office X love, hidden rules, one by one, the hateful words scared her directly. You must know that the reason why she was able to stand out from the crowd of applicants and join the Los Angeles entertainment news with excellent benefits is mainly because she is very beautiful. Hey, what do you think about you? The editor-in-chief Andre is also an old driver. He couldn't help but laughed. You don't learn well at a young age, and you don't want to watch something. Even if you are the company's first beauty reporter, I love my wife very much. Shout. You go out, but you are not alone, there are a few others. So, where are we going? Avril blushed. Where to go? Tell you, I will take you to interview Mr. Zhu Ke Wald today. Are you surprised? After Andre finished speaking, he stepped out. The second update is sent. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.